Chapter 935. After a while, a strange scene flew out of the medicinal pill, changing continuously above everyone's head. This was the pill image. The appearance of the pill image indicated that Mo Qingyun's medicinal pill refinement was successful. The pill refinement material that everyone saw as a waste, Mo Qingyun actually refined it into a medicinal pill too. After such a scene appeared, everyone's faces revealed shock, feeling disbelief in their hearts. Their understanding of pill refinement was once again shattered by Mo Qingyun. How can this be? On him, it seems like all of the pill refinement rules have completely lost their reference value. Song Luo revealed a look of disbelief, unable to accept this result for a long time in his heart. This was seriously too inconceivable. At this moment, a strange thought involuntarily rose in Song Luo's heart. Could it be that Mo Qingyun specialized in breaking these pill refinement rules? Not just Song Luo, Chun Bin, and the rest on the side were the same, unable to help but have such a strange thought. In their memories, they seemed to have never heard before that pill refinement materials that had already been wasted could still be refined into medicinal pills anew. If that was really the case, medicinal pills wouldn't be so precious. Anyway, pill refinement materials could be used repeatedly. During the purification process previously, too much of the medicinal properties of the pill refinement materials were lost, resulting in it being unable to refine into tribulation-grade medicinal pills. This is a bit of a pity. Looking at the violet cloud Tongfu Emperor pill that was successfully refined, Mo Qingyun sighed slightly, revealing a look of regret. Unable to refine into tribulation-grade medicinal pills? Mo Qingyun seemed to be unsatisfied with this. After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chun Bin and the rest's heads buzzed, receiving a huge blow in their hearts. At this moment, they already didn't know how to express their feelings. Pill refinement materials that were wasted were refined into medicinal pills by Mo Qingyun. This was already a rather heaven-defying thing. However, Mo Qingyun was actually not satisfied with this. He still wanted to refine tribulation-grade pills. This was simply too hard to accept. Mo Qingyun shook his head in disappointment when he glanced at the Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor pill in his hand. He casually tossed the pill to Chun Bin and said, "Sect Master Chun, although only one tribulation-grade pill has been refined, it's fortunate that both sets of ingredients have been refined into pills, so the Miss Pool sect didn't have to spend any unnecessary money." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chun Bin and the others immediately blushed as a strong sense of shame rose in their hearts. Normally, when they were refining pills, they would be very satisfied if they could succeed 3 out of 10 times. What about Mo Qingyun? He had successfully concocted 2 pills in a row, but he didn't manage to concoct a tribulation-grade pill the first time. Yet, he was still dissatisfied. More importantly, they couldn't blame Mo Qingyun for not being able to concoct a tribulation-grade pill that time. The alchemy materials that Mo Qingyun used had already been ruined. If they could still be refined into tribulation-grade pills like that, they would probably go crazy from the shock. How could the other alchemists survive? Seeing Mo Qingyun casually toss the Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor pill away, Chun Bin immediately panicked. His heart was hanging in his throat. This was Imperial-grade pill. How could he just toss it away like that? What if it broke? Of course, Chun Bin only felt a little heartache. He wasn't dissatisfied because of this. "Sect Master Chun, if you don't mind, I can give a lecture on alchemy to the elders of the Miss Pool sect." After tossing the Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor pill to Chun Bin, Mo Qingyun's expression became more serious as he spoke his thoughts. "What? You want to give us a lecture on alchemy?" After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chun Bin almost fainted from happiness. He couldn't believe that this was real for a long time. Right now, what the Fog Pool sect lacked the most was a leader who could concoct pills to guide them in their cultivation. Now, that a powerful pill emperor like Mo Qingyun was willing to give them a lecture, this was simply a pie falling from the sky. I don't mind." After being stunned for a short while, Chun Bin hurriedly waved his hand. What a joke! If Chun Bin encountered such a good thing, He wouldn't refuse unless his brain was clamped. After expressing his willingness to listen to Mo Qingyun's lecture, Chunbin revealed a look of anticipation. He rubbed his hands and asked Mo Qingyun, this little brother Mo, when will you be free? I'll order someone to arrange it. Seeing that Mo Qingyun wanted to guide them in alchemy, Chunbin was so excited that he even subconsciously changed the way he addressed Mo Qingyun. It's best to arrange it now, because I still have some things to do. I can't stay in the mist pool sect for too long. Mo Qingyun considered Chunbin's question for a moment before ordering Chunbin to immediately arrange it. All right, I'll go arrange it now. After hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Chunbin didn't dare to hesitate in the slightest. He hurriedly ordered Mo Qingyun to give a lecture on alchemy. When Chunbin arranged for Mo Qingyun to give a lecture on alchemy, Song Luo revealed an expression of anticipation. He looked at Mo Qingyun with some hesitation. He seemed to be considering whether or not he should also join in and listen to Mo Qingyun's lecture on alchemy. However, when he thought of how rude he was to Mo Qingyun, Song Luo hesitated in his heart. He didn't know what to say to Mo Qingyun. Seeing Song Luo's expression, Mo Qingyun immediately guessed what he was thinking. He smiled faintly and said, "Elder Song, if you don't mind, you can also come and listen. I can also participate." After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Song Luo immediately revealed an expression of ecstasy. For a moment, he didn't know what to say. "Of course you can. Unless you feel that my alchemy skills are too low and that I don't have the right to share my alchemy experience with you." Seeing Song Luo's reaction, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and joked with him. "Little brother Mo, don't make me feel bad. This time, I accept my loss wholeheartedly. I was indeed a frog in a well before." Hearing Mo Qingyun's joking words, Song Luo's face couldn't help but redden as he spoke in shame. When they saw Song Luo admit defeat to Mo Qingyun and admit his mistake, Chunbin and the others couldn't help but look at Mo Qingyun with admiration. Based on their understanding of Song Luo, this old man wouldn't admit his mistake so easily. He was a classic example of a stubborn duck. Even if he had done something wrong, he still wouldn't admit his mistake. Who would have thought that he would actually lower his head and admit his mistake to Mo Qingyun? How could Chunbin and the others not be surprised? I, Old Chong, rarely admire people. Today, I am wholeheartedly convinced by little brother Mo. This kind of boldness, this kind of breadth of mind, no one can compare. When he saw Song Luo admit his mistake to Mo Qingyun, an elder beside, Chunbin revealed an expression of admiration. A moment later, the elder who had gone to arrange the sermon came to Chunbin's side and reported the progress of the matter. When he heard that the matter had been arranged, Chunbin walked over to Mo Qingyun and asked for his opinion. "Little brother Mo, the place for the sermon has been arranged. When should we go over? Let's go." Chapter 9:36. Not long after, Mo Qingyun arrived at a square that was close to 10,000 square meters under Chunbin's guidance. This was the place where the Fog Pond sect's disciples usually listened to the elders' lectures. However, today the students here were all elders of the Fog Pond sect. Walking into the square, Mo Qingyun walked into an elegant pavilion under Chunbin's guidance. After sending Mo Qingyun to the pavilion, Chunbin walked to the center of the square with a humble expression like a student and sat down. Not long after, the square was filled with nearly 100 Fog Pond sect elders. They all had humble expressions as they waited for Mo Qingyun to teach them the art of alchemy. Since everyone is here, I will now share with everyone some of my knowledge on alchemy. Glancing at the crowd below, Mo Qingyun began to share his knowledge on alchemy with Chunbin and the others. Mo Qingyun was a venerable level alchemist in his previous life. His understanding of alchemy was naturally very thorough. Listening to Mo Qingyun's narration, Chunbin and the others quickly understood. Their expressions became extremely excited. Mo Qingyun's narration had opened a whole new door for them. It gave them a whole new understanding of alchemy. Immediately after, everyone's gazes towards Mo Qingyun were filled with strong admiration. Their expressions became even more humble. They found it hard to imagine that someone could comprehend the art of alchemy to such a high level. Time passed bit by bit as Mo Qingyun continued to narrate the story. As they listened to Mo Qingyun's narration, everyone seemed to have forgotten about time. They were completely immersed in the sea of knowledge on alchemy. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. At this moment, Mo Qingyun stopped his narration and looked at Chun Bin and the others with satisfaction. After these few days of teaching, they discovered that although Chun Bin and the others' alchemy skills were not high, their basic skills were extremely solid. As a result, what they lacked was a teacher's guidance. They lacked the correct guidance of a great teacher. Now that Mo Qingyun had appeared, he had undoubtedly solved their problem and allowed them to find a breakthrough in their alchemy skills. Looking at Chun Bin and the others who were still immersed in the knowledge of alchemy, Mo Qingyun did not disturb them and allowed them to digest the knowledge they had learned. Just like that, another 2 days passed. After 2 days of digesting Mo Qingyun's knowledge, Chun Bin and the others gradually memorized and familiarized themselves with it. However, if he wanted to achieve comprehension, mastery, and use it in actual alchemy, he still needed some time to practice. However, Mo Qingyun was already prepared for such a situation. Seeing that everyone had woken up from digesting the knowledge, Mo Qingyun revealed a faint smile on his face. He said to Chun Bin and the others, "Alchemy is a job that can be perfected through practice. Everything still needs to be built on actual operations. Next, everyone choose a type of pill that is 1 or 2 levels higher than your alchemist level to refine." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, everyone was stunned. They were extremely shocked by Mo Qingyun's words. Although everyone had heard Mo Qingyun's explanation and had a better understanding of alchemy, wasn't it a little too impatient to try to level up now? Therefore, Chun Bin and the others hesitated. They didn't know if they should follow Mo Qingyun's instructions. Towards everyone's reaction, Mo Qingyun had expected it. He wasn't too surprised. "Everyone, don't worry. Next, I will observe your alchemy process from aside." Seeing the hesitation on Chun Bin and the others' faces, Mo Qingyun comforted them and dispelled their worries. He then said, "Only when you refine pills in front of me can I clearly understand what each of you is lacking. Then, I will be able to teach you according to your aptitude and allow you to raise your alchemist level faster." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Chun Bin and the others understood Mo Qingyun's intentions. A strong sense of gratitude rose in their hearts. Mo Qingyun had only known them for a few days. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that they met by chance. However, Mo Qingyun treated them like this. This kind of action really moved them too much. This was simply a kind of gratitude for recognizing one's worth. Dang, dang, dang. For a moment, the sound of pill cauldrons hitting the ground rang out from the square. After a while, everyone took out their pill cauldrons and began to refine their own pills. Domain Gate. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and directly released the Domain Gate. A blinding light suddenly erupted from Mo Qingyun's body and instantly enveloped the entire square. The reason why Mo Qingyun let Chun Bin and the others refine pills on the spot was not only to guide them in alchemy, but also to test the power of the Domain Gate. What kind of technique is this? Under the cover of this light, I actually feel like I'm in a different space. Little brother Mo is really unfathomable. Each of his techniques is more amazing than the last. I wonder what kind of force little brother Mo is from. I'm really curious. What kind of people can nurture such a genius like him? Chun Bin and the others were shocked. They were once again shocked by Mo Qingyun's techniques. However, Chun Bin and the others weren't ordinary people after all. After a short moment of shock, they began to focus on refining pills. In his opinion, the most important thing now was to refine pills and let Mo Qingyun find out their shortcomings. Under the cover of the Domain Gate, the situation of Chun Bin and the others was completely observed by Mo Qingyun. After this discovery, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but have a better understanding of the Domain Gate. Next, Mo Qingyun silently observed Chun Bin and the others through the Domain Gate. If they made any mistakes, Mo Qin would come to their side and point out their shortcomings. Next, time passed bit by bit as everyone refined pills. Half a day later, the first elder to successfully refine a pill appeared. This was an elder with a lower level of pill refinement. Because the pill he refined was of a lower level, he was the first to complete his pill refinement. What was worth being proud of was that with Mo Qingyun's guidance and help, he successfully refined a pill that was 2 levels higher than him. Although this didn't mean that his pill refinement level had directly risen by 2 levels, it would definitely be immeasurably beneficial for his future pill refinement. After the first elder's successful refinement, the next elders who succeeded in refining pills appeared like bamboo shoots after the rain. Some of them successfully refined pills with Mo Qingyun's help, while others refined pills independently. Those elders who had successfully refined pills on their own indicated that their alchemist level had been promoted during their previous studies. Just like that, time passed bit by bit. After half a day, only Chun Bin and Song Luo were left in the square. Chapter 9:37. A day later, 2 streaks of light flew from Song Luo and Chun Bin's pills to above them, presenting 2 different images. After seeing these 2 images, everyone was pleasantly surprised, and their expressions became somewhat excited. Pill images appeared. This meant that Chun Bin and Song Luo's alchemy level had both advanced to the level of an alchemy emperor. From now on, not only did the Fogpool sect have an alchemy emperor, but they also had 2 alchemy emperors. This way, it wouldn't be long before the Fogpool sect's overall strength would undergo a qualitative leap. After a moment, the pill images dissipated and the pills flew out of the pill cauldron. Because Song Luo and Chun Bin didn't know how to form pills, the quality of the pills they refined wasn't particularly good. The Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor pill that Song Luo refined could barely be considered a mid-tier Emperor pill. As for the Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor pill that Chun Bin refined, it only reached the level of pill formation. However, this wasn't the most important thing for the 2 of them. In their opinion, the most important thing was that the 2 of them could successfully refine the Violet Cloud Mansion Emperor pill and advance to Alchemy Emperor. Thinking that his dream of advancing to Alchemy Emperor in these few decades had finally come true, Song Luo couldn't help but cry. After a while, when Song Luo looked at Mo Qingyun again, his eyes immediately surged with intense gratitude. He directly knelt to Mo Qingyun and said, "Teacher, please accept this disciple's bow." In Song Luo's opinion, although he and Mo Qingyun weren't master and disciple in name, they were master and disciple in reality. Song Luo was very clear in his heart that with Mo Qingyun's attainments in alchemy, he absolutely had the qualifications to be his teacher. Moreover, now, under Mo Qingyun's guidance, he had successfully advanced to a one-life alchemy emperor. Mo Qingyun was worthy of such a bow from him for the grace of imparting knowledge to him. "Teacher, please accept this disciple's bow." After seeing Song Luo's actions, Chun Bin and the others also hurriedly knelt, and one after another, they bowed to Mo Qingyun as a disciple. 3,000 great Daos. The one who reached the top was first. Although Mo Qingyun was younger than them, his attainments in alchemy weren't something they could compare to. "Everyone, there's no need to be so courteous. Please rise." Mo Qingyun did not find anything wrong with Chun Bin and the others' greetings. He smiled faintly and waved at them. From Mo Qingyun's point of view, whether it was his identity in his previous life or his teaching of Tao to Chun Bin and the others, he was qualified to receive everyone's worship. "Everyone, since my lecture has ended, I should leave the Fogpool sect." Seeing Chun Bin and the others stand up, Mo Qingyun bid them farewell and said, "From now on, you can only work harder. Your alchemy skills will definitely improve quickly." With that, Mo Qingyun stood up and walked out of the square. He wanted to leave the Fogpool sect. "Teacher, we'll send you off." Seeing that Mo Qingyun was about to leave, Chun Bin and the others hurriedly followed, wanting to send Mo Qingyun out of the Fogpool sect. "Just let Song Luo and Chun Bin send him off." You guys can go back and cultivate in seclusion. In response to everyone's actions, Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and waved his hand. He turned around and walked out of the fog pool sect. Seeing Mo Qingyun's instructions, the elders of the fog pool sect did not insist and returned to their residences to cultivate in seclusion. Sect Master Chun, before I leave, I want to warn you that if possible, it's best to move the sect away as soon as possible. When they arrived outside the Mist Pool sect's mountain gate, Mo Qingyun had a solemn expression on his face as he warned Chunbin again. Mo Qingyun knew very well what kind of consequences would occur if a passage appeared between the demon path and the heavenly soul continent. Not to mention, Mo Qingyun had seen a heavenly demon with the strength of a demigod come to the heavenly soul continent from the demon path. From this, it could be seen just how far the passage between the heavenly soul continent and the demon path had spread. With the fog pool sect's strength, any heavenly demon with a high level of cultivation would be able to directly wipe out the fog pool sect. Therefore, Mo Qingyun's worries were very necessary. This disciple will arrange this matter as soon as possible. Seeing Mo Qingyun repeatedly remind him of this, Chunbin also began to take it seriously. This matter should be somewhat troublesome. Next, Mo Qingyun gave some instructions to the two of them before leaving the fog pool sect. After Mo Qingyun left the fog pool sect, Chunbin announced an important piece of news that shocked all the disciples of the fog pool sect. Next, the sect will be closed for half a month. During this half a month, all the elders would have to enter seclusion. After hearing this news, the disciples of the fog pool sect were in an uproar as they guessed the reason for this situation. What do you think? Why are the sect master and the others all in seclusion? You don't even know this? Mo Qingyun gave the sect master and the others pointers in alchemy. It said that the average elder's alchemy level has advanced. Not only that, the sect master and grand elder Song Luo have already advanced to the level of Pill Emperor. Wow, Mo Qingyun is too amazing. If only he gave me some pointers. Also, he must be very lonely and empty outside by himself. I think he needs to find a woman to accompany him. Yes, especially when he has so many younger brothers with him. How can he not have a woman to help him take care of them? Senior sisters, you are so dirty. I can't take it anymore. For a time, the disciples of the Fog Pool sect were in an uproar as they spread the news of Mo Qingyun's deeds. Mo Qingyun didn't know about the matters of the Fog Pool sect. After they left the Fog Pool sect, they went directly to the Chiefing Mountain. The Mingfeng mountain range wasn't far from the Chiefing mountain range. After rushing for a day, Mo Qingyun finally arrived at the Chiefing mountain range. The Chiefing mountain range, as the name implied, once had the divine beast phoenix living here. Of course, this was only a rumor. As for whether this rumor was true or not, it was unknown. However, one thing was certain. On the Chiefing mountain range, there were indeed demonic beasts with phoenix blood flowing in their veins. As they walked into the Chiefing mountain range, Mo Qingyun felt that the surrounding air became hot. Under the impact of these heat waves, the scene in front of him began to shake like a reflection in water. Whoosh! A crisp bird cry was heard. A bird with two green tails circled in the air above Mo Qingyun. Phoenix blood green-tailed chicken. Seeing the bird in the air, Mo Qingyun's expression changed, and a trace of vigilance rose in his heart. The phoenix blood green-tailed chicken was a demonic beast with the phoenix bloodline on the Chiefing Mountain. Moreover, it was a demonic beast that was relatively close to the phoenix. This phoenix blood green-tailed chicken's strength wasn't weak. It had already reached the 7th level of the supernatural power. If Mo Qingyun wanted to deal with it, he would have to put in some effort. Swoosh! At this moment, when Mo Qingyun was paying attention to the phoenix blood green-tailed chicken above his head, a golden arrow flashed by and shot towards the phoenix blood green-tailed chicken. Swoosh! With a flash of golden light, the golden arrow directly pierced into the phoenix blood green-tailed chicken's body. Seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun's expression changed. He was shocked and said, "Someone is on the Chiefing mountain range." Then, Mo Qingyun didn't hesitate and rushed towards the place where the arrow was shot. Chapter 9:38. The place where the golden arrow was shot was not close. When Mo Chinyan arrived, the person was no longer there. There were a few drops of blood on some withered leaves on the ground. There were also a few feathers of the phoenix blood-green tail chicken floating in the wind. From this, it could be seen that the person was here. However, he left before Mo Chinyan arrived. He left? Who could it be? Could it be a heavenly demon? Looking at the scene in front of him, Mo Chinyan's expression was slightly shocked. He was thinking about who came here. From Mo Chinyan's point of view, the desert in Chiefing Mountain was very close to the western mainland. The chances of a heavenly demon appearing were very high. Forget it, let's find the phoenix blood nirvana fruit first. After thinking hard for a while, Mo Chinyan did not think too much about it. He started to walk towards the depths of Chiefing Mountain. On the way to the depths of Chiefing Mountain, Mo Chinyan encountered many demonic beasts. These demonic beasts were not as strong as the phoenix blood-green-tailed chicken. Under Mo Chinyan's attack, they were either killed or scared off by Mo Chinyan. After walking for a while, a huge flaming mountain appeared in front of Mo Chinyan. Mo Chinyan looked around. At the top of the mountain, he saw a huge flaming cave. That was the nest of the ancient divine beast, the lava phoenix nest. Lava phoenix nest. Looking at the huge flaming mountain in front of him, Mo Chinyan's face revealed a brilliant smile. He could not wait any longer and quickly rushed towards the lava phoenix nest. Since the lava phoenix nest is here, then there should be phoenix blood nirvana fruit inside. As Mo Chinyan walked towards a lava phoenix nest, something that surprised them appeared. Along the way, there were corpses of demonic beasts. Someone is walking in front of me. Could it be that he is also heading towards the lava phoenix nest? After realizing this, Mo Chinyan's expression turned serious. This was not good news for him. Then, the pace that Mo Chinyan had instructed him to quicken. Bang, bang, bang. Not long after, the sound of intense fighting entered Mo Chinyan's ears. It's right in front. Hearing the sound of fighting, Mo Chinyan's expression changed slightly, and he quickly rushed towards the sound of fighting. When Mo Chinyan saw the scene in front of him, his expression froze for a moment before he exclaimed, "It's her!" That's right. The person walking in front of Mo Chinyan was precisely Murong Chinyu, who had joined hands with him to fight against Blood Shadow. Who would have thought that after not seeing each other for a few days, they would actually meet again? It was truly a small world. "It's you." After Murong Chinyu saw Mo Chinyan, her charming face revealed some surprise. Obviously, she was also very surprised to meet Mo Chinyan here. However, after a short moment of surprise, Murong Chinyu's expression turned cold. She said to Mo Chinyan, "I can deal with this multicolored phoenix blood crane. I don't need you to help me." With regards to Mo Chinyan getting close to her, Murong Chinyu seemed to be very resistant in her heart. She deliberately kept some distance from Mo Chinyan. All right. Seeing Murong Chinyu's attitude, Mo Chinyan's mouth revealed a trace of a bitter smile as he helplessly shrugged his shoulders. Since Murong Chinyu had already said so, it was naturally not good for him to help. Of course, the multicolored phoenix blood crane in front of him was not strong. It only had the cultivation of divine power level 5. With Murong Chinyu's strength, she could completely deal with it. Therefore, Mo Chinyan was not worried. Following which, Mo Chinyan did not continue to stay. He got up and walked toward the interior of the lava phoenix nest. The temperature inside the lava phoenix nest was extremely high. Just as Mo Chinyan walked in, he felt an astonishing heat wave rushing towards him. Domain Gate. Seeing this, Mo Chinyan immediately used the domain gate to resist the incoming heat wave. As the domain gate was used, a small domain formed around Mo Chinyan, blocking the incoming heat wave outside. Without the interference of the heat wave, Mo Chinyan went deeper into the lava phoenix nest and began to search for the phoenix blood nirvana fruit. The lava phoenix nest was very large. At first glance, it looked like a huge bottomless pit. As Mo Chinyan continued to dive deeper, he saw ancient caves on the walls of the lava phoenix nest. These caves seemed to be the nests of phoenixes in the past. However, it had been a long time since a phoenix had lived here. With regards to these caves, Mo Qingyun did not explore them. Instead, he directly flew towards the bottom of the lava phoenix nest. After about a quarter of an hour, Mo Qingyun finally arrived at the bottom of the lava phoenix nest. He stood on a rock at the bottom of the lava phoenix nest. Below these rocks was a large expanse of red lava. It was churning like boiling water, constantly emitting terrifying heat waves. Sensing the terrifying heat within the lava, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but tremble. He was certain that even if a powerhouse at the pinnacle of the transcendent realm fell into this lava, they would still have a slim chance of survival. This lava phoenix nest had not been inhabited by a phoenix for hundreds of thousands of years. Who knew how much of the heat waves within the lava had dissipated, but the heat within was still enough to threaten a powerhouse at the pinnacle of the transcendent realm. One could only imagine how terrifying the heat in the lava was when the divine beast, Phoenix, resided here. As expected of an ancient divine beast Phoenix, just the heat from the flames on its body would probably be able to easily burn a sovereign to death. Scanning the surroundings, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but sigh in his heart. With a puzzled expression, he said, "But if the ancient divine beast Phoenix was so powerful, why did it disappear from the heavenly soul continent? Did the heavenly soul continent experience it?" After pondering for a moment, Mo Qingyun shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He was very clear that this matter wasn't something that he could figure out at the moment. Perhaps there would be a better answer to some unknown questions on the desolate continent. That is, scanning the surroundings of the lava phoenix nest, Mo Qingyun's eyes were attracted by a peculiar-looking spirit plant. On the spirit plant, there were a few green leaves that resembled the tail of a phoenix. In the middle of these green leaves was a red fruit that resembled a phoenix. The phoenix blood nirvana fruit. It really is the phoenix blood nirvana fruit. Looking at the fruit on the spirit plant, Mo Qingyun's expression instantly became excited. His figure moved and flew towards the phoenix blood nirvana fruit. In next to no time, Mo Qingyun arrived at the side of the phoenix blood nirvana fruit and raised his hand with the intention of plucking it. The phoenix blood nirvana fruit. At this moment, just as Mo Qingyun was about to pluck the phoenix blood nirvana fruit, a pleasantly surprised voice sounded in Mo Qingyun's ears. "Stop!" After these words, the person's tone turned cold as she berated Mo Qingyun. At the same time, she slashed her sword at Mo Qingyun without any hesitation, preventing Mo Qingyun from plucking the phoenix blood nirvana fruit. Demonic shadow, traceless, following the body like a shadow. Faced with this person's sword, Mo Qingyun's figure moved and swiftly dodged her sword. Chapter 9:39. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, the other party's pretty face immediately became angry. She raised her hand and pointed at Mo Qingyun, unable to say anything. She did not expect that Mo Qingyun would be so straightforward and directly take the phoenix blood nirvana fruit away. Looking at the beautiful figure in front of him, Mo Qingyun revealed a trace of apology. He put away the phoenix blood nirvana fruit and said, "Miss Murong, I'm very sorry. This Snow Peak nirvana fruit is very important to me." That's right, the person who was competing with Mo Qingyun for the phoenix blood nirvana fruit was Murong Qinyu, who had killed the multicolored phoenix blood crane before. "This phoenix blood nirvana fruit is also very important to me. What do you want in order to give it to me? Tell me your conditions." With regards to Mo Qingyun's apology, Murong Qinyu directly chose to ignore it. She still spoke with an indifferent tone. "Sorry, I can't give it to you." Seeing Murong Qinyu's action, Mo Qingyun shook his head with a bitter smile. He directly rejected Murong Qinyu's suggestion and said, "The space of this lava phoenix nest is very big. Let's continue to search. Perhaps we can find a second phoenix blood nirvana fruit." "No need. My body is very sensitive to phoenix blood. Right now, I can no longer sense the existence of phoenix blood. This means that the phoenix blood nirvana fruit is no longer here." With regards to Mo Qingyun's suggestion, Murong Qingyu directly rejected it. She revealed an unwilling expression and said, "I'll ask again. Are you willing to exchange the Phoenix Blood Nirvana fruit with me or not?" "I'm very sorry. This Phoenix Blood Nirvana fruit is very important to me. I can't give it to you." With regards to Murong Qingyu's words, Mo Qingyun revealed a firm expression and once again rejected Murong Qingyu's request. Seeing Mo Qingyun's performance, Murong Qingyu's charming face immediately became angry. She raised the long sword in her hand and pointed it at Mo Qingyun. She said, "Since it's like this, then don't blame me. Devil Phoenix, sword technique, Devil Cloud Chop." Under Murong Qingyu's brandishing of the black long sword, an astonishing black essence power suddenly emerged, transforming into a dark cloud. After these dark clouds were formed, they danced in the air and blasted towards Mo Qingyun from different directions. In the blink of an eye, Mo Qingyun's path was blocked, and the surrounding light became dim. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun's expression turned serious. With a flick of his wrist, the colorless sword appeared in his hand. "Excuse me." After Mo Qingyun took out the colorless sword, he activated the 5 origins of metal, wood, water, fire, and earth, and slashed at a dark cloud in front of him. 5 essences as one. Mo Qingyun slashed out with his sword, and a dazzling 5-colored sword ray blasted toward the dark cloud with unstoppable force. Pucci. Facing the bombardment of the 5-colored sword ray, the dark cloud didn't have the slightest resistance and was directly crushed by the 5-colored sword ray. After defeating the 5-colored sword ray, Mo Qingyun didn't want to stay any longer. His figure moved and flew out of the lava phoenix nest. "Don't go." Seeing that Mo Qingyun was about to leave, Murong Qingyu's beautiful face changed. She angrily followed behind Mo Qingyun. Following behind Mo Qingyun, Murong Qingyu's hands didn't stop moving. He continued to slash out sword rays at Mo Qingyun. The devil's shadow, traceless, like a shadow, following the body. Mo Qingyun didn't block the sword rays slashed out by Murong Qingyu. He just kept moving his body and dodged the sword rays with extreme speed. Mo Qingyun had an indescribable strange feeling towards Murong Qingyu. He always felt that there was some hidden connection between Murong Qingyu and Long Hanyan. Therefore, unless it was a last resort, he didn't want to hurt Murong Qingyu. Next, Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu, one chasing and one escaping, arrived outside the lava phoenix nest. But even so, Murong Qingyu still didn't give up. He followed closely behind Mo Qingyun and didn't give up. Asterisk Xiao. Asterisk at this moment, when Murong Qingyu was chasing after Mo Qingyun, a loud and clear sound of a bird's cry entered their ears. Then, a terrifying blood-chi fluctuation came from a canyon in the Chifeng mountain range. After this blood-chi fluctuation came out, a huge flaming bird's shadow flew out from the bottom of the canyon. It emitted an astonishing aura and majesty. This was the shadow of the divine beast Phoenix. What an astonishing aura and majesty. Just the aura and majesty of the Phoenix shadow made my heart palpitate. Looking at the Phoenix shadow that flew out from the canyon, Mo Qingyun was startled. He quickly urged the heavenly demon soul clan bloodline in his body to resist the aura and majesty of the Phoenix shadow. Borrowing the power of the heavenly demon soul clan bloodline in his body to offset the aura and majesty of the Phoenix shadow, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but sigh and said, "Just the Phoenix shadow condensed from some Phoenix blood can emit such a terrifying aura and majesty. I wonder how terrifying the aura and majesty of the divine beast Phoenix will be." Phoenix blood. While Mo Qingyun was sighing in his heart, Murong Qingyu's expression changed. His expression became somewhat excited. Then, Murong Qingyu gave up on chasing Mo Qingyun. His figure moved and flew towards the canyon containing Phoenix blood. Seeing Murong Qingyu's action, Mo Qingyun slightly frowned. He was somewhat worried about her and followed him towards the canyon containing Phoenix blood. After a while, Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu arrived at the Phoenix Blood Canyon. At the bottom of the canyon, there was a huge blood pool. There were many strange runes around the blood pool. These runes emitted an astonishing power and were currently refining the blood within the blood pool. Under the refinement of the runes, the phoenix blood contained within the blood was unceasingly stimulated, providing energy to the phoenix shadow in the sky. In the surroundings of the blood pool, there were many corpses of bird-type demonic beasts. These bird-type demonic beasts were all powerful existences that contained phoenix blood. Phoenix blood azure-tailed chicken, multicolored phoenix blood crane, rainbow-winged phoenix blood eagle. Under Mo Qingyun's gaze, the origins of these bird-type demonic beasts were immediately recognized by him. However, what truly shocked Mo Qingyun was that these bird-type demonic beasts that contained phoenix blood were all killed by a golden arrow. After discovering this, Mo Qingyun's heart couldn't help but tremble. He secretly guessed, could it be that this blood pool that is used to refine phoenix blood was set up by the person who killed the phoenix blood azure-tailed chicken? After thinking like this, Mo Qingyun's expression unconsciously became solemn. A faint feeling of uneasiness rose in his heart. In his opinion, the matter wasn't so simple. However, as to what exactly wasn't simple, Mo Qingyun couldn't say for a moment. In short, at this moment, there was an indescribable feeling of uneasiness in his heart. Immediately after, Mo Qingyun carefully looked at the runes outside the blood pool. He wanted to see through this formation. After examining for a while, Mo Qingyun's expression shook. He recognized the origin of this formation and exclaimed, This is the Blood Fiend Phoenix trapping formation. Chapter 940. Phoenix blood, it's really phoenix blood. Seeing the blood pool that contained a huge amount of phoenix blood, Murong Qingyu's expression changed and became excited. Then, Murong Qingyu no longer thought about it and immediately flew towards the direction of the blood pool. Shit! Seeing Murong Qingyu's action, Mo Qingyun's heart skipped a beat. That bad feeling became even stronger. Then, Mo Qingyun didn't have time to think too much. He followed behind Murong Qingyu and rushed towards the blood pool. Miss Murong, be careful. When Mo Qingyun chased after Murong Qingyu, he revealed a nervous expression and quickly reminded Murong Qingyu loudly. However, the thing that made Mo Qingyun feel helpless was that not only did Murong Qingyu not appreciate his reminder in the slightest, he even looked at him with hatred and said, Mo Qingyun, you just snatched my phoenix blood nirvana fruit. Could it be that you want to fight over the phoenix blood with me now? After saying that, Murong Qingyu's body turned into an afterimage. With a few flashes, she rushed into the vicinity of the blood pool and entered the Blood Fiend Phoenix imprisoning formation. Shit! Seeing Murong Qingyu's action, Mo Qingyun's expression suddenly changed, and he also rushed into the Blood Fiend Phoenix imprisoning formation. Chi. After Murong Qingyu rushed into the Blood Fiend Phoenix imprisoning formation, her complexion clearly paled and the blood in her body was forcibly extracted. After such a situation occurred, Murong Qingyu's expression suddenly changed. She finally realized the seriousness of the matter. At this moment, she also finally understood that Mo Qingyun's action just now was not to fight with her for the phoenix blood, but because he was really worried about her safety. Right now, when Murong Qingyu's panicked blood was forcibly extracted, an even more panicked scene occurred. She discovered that under the suppression of the formation, she didn't even have the strength to stand up. After such a situation occurred, Murong Qingyu's body became weak, and she began to fall towards the ground. Miss Murong, are you all right? Seeing Murong Qingyu's body become weak, Mo Qingyun's expression suddenly changed, and he quickly helped Murong Qingyu up. Domain Gate. After supporting Murong Qingyu, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate to use the Domain Gate to help Murong Qingyu offset the suppression of the Blood Evil Phoenix trapping formation. As the Domain Gate resisted the suppression of the formation, Murong Qingyu's complexion improved a bit, and his strength gradually recovered. Looking at herself nestled in Mo Qingyun's arms, Murong Qingyo's pretty face blushed, revealing a rare, shy expression. At the same time, what made Murong Qingyu even more shocked was that when she snuggled up in Mo Qingyun's embrace, she actually had a kind of intoxicated and familiar feeling. This strange feeling appeared. Murong Qingyo's pretty face became even redder. She was extremely shy. Soon, Murong Qingyu broke free from Mo Qingyun's embrace. She shyly looked at Mo Qingyun. Her eyes revealed some confusion. She realized that after she broke free from Mo Qingyun's embrace, she actually felt a sense of loss. Could it be that her original intention was to snuggle into Mo Qingyun's embrace? How can this be? Why do I have this kind of feeling towards him? Murong Qingyu was very puzzled. The current situation was really too abnormal for her. This kind of feeling made her both vexed and shy. In addition, there was also some kind of expectation. Mo Qingyun naturally didn't know about Murong Qingyo's thoughts. He was only surprised by the formidability of the Blood Evil Phoenix trapping formation. He exclaimed, "The Blood Evil Phoenix trapping formation is actually so powerful. It actually has such a terrifying suppression towards the race that contains the phoenix blood." At present, when Mo Qingyun's face revealed shock, the figure of a black-robed old man flashed and appeared in front of the two of them. Blood Evil Demigod. It's him. Seeing the black-robed old man in front of them, Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu both revealed shock. They were somewhat surprised by the other party's appearance. This black-robed old man was the demigod of the heavenly demon clan that flew over Mo Qingyun's head not far from Mingfeng Mountain Range. "Saintess Qingyu, Demon Sun Wuxian misses you very much. He sent this old man to invite Saintess back." Glancing at Murong Qingyu in front of him, the Blood Evil Demigod revealed a cold smile. He respectfully saluted Murong Qingyu and said, "Saintess Qingyu, if you are willing to return with this old man can help you slaughter all the demon beasts that contain the phoenix blood in the entire mountain range and help you raise the dark demon phoenix, Saint Physique, to the small success level." You want me to serve Wuxian? That's absolutely impossible. Hearing the words of the Blood Evil Demigod, Murong Qingyu's charming face turned cold. She revealed a resolute expression and said, "Now that I have fallen into your hands, if you want to kill me, then kill me. No need to speak so much nonsense. Saintess, since you are not willing to cooperate, this old man can only offend you." Seeing Murong Qingyu's action, the Blood Evil Demigod's expression turned cold and his hands quickly formed a seal. Under the Blood Evil Demigod's action, a shocking bloody light erupted from his hands and released an astonishing aura. From the beginning until now, the Blood Evil Demigod had never looked at Mo Qingyun. It was as if he was treating Mo Qingyun as air. Inherited martial skill, Flame Demon's blood-soaked phoenix capturing hand. Seeing the Blood Evil Demigod's action, Mo Qingyun's expression immediately became startled, and he spoke in astonishment. This brat has some knowledge. He actually knows the Flame Demon's blood-soaked phoenix capturing hand." Under Mo Qingyun's astonished words, the Blood Evil Demigod was bewildered. He couldn't help but take another glance at Mo Qingyun. Of course, it was only taking another glance at Mo Qingyun. He still didn't put Mo Qingyun in his eyes. Transfer gate. Seeing the Blood Evil Demigod's action, Mo Qingyun didn't dare to hesitate in the slightest. He immediately used his martial spirit's ability, Transfer Gate. "Let's go." Looking at the rapidly condensing teleportation whirlpool in front of them, Mo Qingyun directly pulled Murong Qingyu's hand and brought her into the teleportation whirlpool. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Murong Qingyu's expression slightly changed and her mind became somewhat blank. At this moment, there seemed to be some additional memories in her mind. However, they were very vague and she was unable to remember them. However, there was one thing that she was certain of. These memories seemed to be related to Mo Qingyun. After this discovery, Murong Qingyu became even more puzzled. She couldn't help but become more curious about Mo Qingyun. Shua. The transfer gate disappeared, and Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu left the blood evil phoenix imprisoning formation together. They escaped, seeing Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu disappear before his eyes. The blood evil demigod was shocked. He didn't dare to believe that this was real. He didn't expect that a brat that he didn't take seriously would actually have such an astonishing method. This brat actually has such a method. This old man has actually underestimated you. After saying these words of surprise, the blood evil demigod's expression became somewhat gloomy. He coldly said, "However, the aura of the blood evil phoenix imprisoning formation remains on Saintess Qingyu's body. You won't be able to escape." Blood evil tracking. The blood evil demigod formed a hand seal and condensed a strange blood sword. It emitted a dazzling blood light and quickly chased in a direction. Seeing the direction the blood sword flew in, the blood evil demigod didn't hesitate and quickly followed. Chapter 941. Shua. A crack appeared in the space. Two figures walked out from it. They were Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu. Coming out from the crack in space, Murong Qingyu revealed a shocked expression. She looked at Mo Qingyun in disbelief. Teleport. Mo Qingyun actually knew how to teleport. This scene really shocked her quite a bit. Murong Qingyu was extremely shocked. She didn't even feel that her hand was being pulled by Mo Qingyun. "Let's go." Looking at Murong Qingyu, who was stunned, Mo Qingyun faintly smiled at her. He pulled her hand and walked forward. Mo Qingyun took a step forward. Only then did he suddenly remember that he was still holding Murong Qingyu's delicate hand. "I'm sorry. Because the situation was too sudden, I forgot to let go of your hand." Looking at his own action, Mo Qingyun awkwardly smiled and let go of Murong Qingyu's hand. When Murong Qingyu heard Mo Qingyun's words, she suddenly realized that her hand had been pulled by Mo Qingyun since a moment ago. Suddenly, a strong sense of shyness grew in Murong Qingyu's heart. Her beautiful face couldn't help but turn red. It was incomparably attractive. Just now, the situation was urgent. Could it be that the situation is also urgent now? Lecture. Murong Qingyu's face revealed an unhappy expression. She fiercely glared at Mo Qingyun. Then she lifted her foot and walked forward. She no longer paid attention to Mo Qingyun, who was smiling bitterly. Looking at Murong Qingyu, who walked in front of him, Mo Qingyun helplessly smiled. He shrugged his shoulders and didn't say anything. Sometimes, women were like this. They could change their faces like flipping a book. You would never know what she was thinking. As a matter of fact, when Mo Qingyun was secretly depressed, Murong Qingyu suddenly turned around and angrily said to Mo Qingyun, "What are you still standing there for? Let's go." After saying this, Murong Qingyu immediately realized that something was wrong. Why did she call Mo Qingyun? What's wrong with me? Why would I ask him to come along? Confusion arose in Murong Qingyu's heart. Then, she had a guilty conscience and didn't dare to say another word to Mo Qingyun. Not only that, after that, Murong Qingyu deliberately pulled apart some distance from Mo Qingyun to express that he did not want to pay attention to Mo Qingyun. Seeing Murong Qingyu's action, Mo Qingyun was even more speechless. He didn't know what to say. Women, their thoughts were always hard to read. Next, because of Murong Qingyu's guilty conscience, she was embarrassed to take the initiative to talk to Mo Qingyun. Therefore, in the following journey, Murong Qingyu didn't speak. As for Mo Qingyun, because he couldn't figure out Murong Qingyu's thoughts, he didn't take the initiative to talk to Murong Qingyu. In this way, both of them chose to remain silent. No one was the first to break the silence, causing the atmosphere to become slightly awkward. This guy actually ignored me for half a day. Murong Qingyu, who was walking in front, saw that Mo Qingyun didn't talk to her for half a day. Dissatisfaction arose in her heart. However, after this emotion appeared, Murong Qingyu's heart was at a loss again. A strong feeling of confusion arose in her heart. Why should I let him talk to me? If he doesn't talk to me, wouldn't I be more at ease? At this moment, Murong Qingyo's heart was in a mess. She didn't know what she wanted to do. Saintus Qingyu boy, you can't escape. At this moment, when Murong Qingyo's heart was in a mess, a gloomy voice entered Emo Qingyun's and Murong Qingyo's ears. Not good. Shueisha demigod has caught up. After hearing this voice, Emo Qingyun's and Murong Qingyo's expressions changed greatly. A strong feeling of unease arose in their hearts. Let's go. Seeing this, Emo Qingyun no longer hesitated. His figure moved, grabbed Murong Qingyo's waist, and ran with her at extreme speed. Untraceable demonic shadow followed like a shadow. At this moment, Emo Qingyun activated untraceable demonic shadow to the extreme. 8 afterimages constantly flashed behind him. Every time they flashed, Emo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu would travel a great distance, pulling apart the distance between them and Shueisha demigod. What an exquisite martial art. Just what is the background of this boy? Seeing Emo Qingyun's ghost-like speed, Shueisha demigod revealed a shocked expression. His eyes revealed a trace of greed as he said, "If this old man obtains this movement martial art, this old man's strength will definitely double. At that time, I will even be able to fight against a supreme being expert. Boy, this old man wants to see how long you can last. Activating this movement martial art must consume a lot of energy, right?" Seeing Emo Qingyun running ahead, Shueisha demigod revealed a complacent sneer. His expression revealed a playful expression. In his opinion, with Emo Qingyun's Heavenly Dipper 9-stage cultivation, he definitely wouldn't be able to last long while activating such a powerful movement martial art. Once Emo Qingyun's energy was exhausted, Emo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu would be at his mercy. Therefore, Shueisha demigod wasn't in a hurry to catch up to Emo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu. Instead, he revealed a playful smile and unhurriedly followed behind. Hearing Shueisha demigod's words, Murong Qingyu's expression changed slightly. His gaze was complicated as he looked at Emo Qingyun and said, "Put me down. With the speed of your movement martial art, Shueisha demigod definitely won't be able to catch up to you. I won't leave you behind. Don't speak, I will definitely bring you away." Hearing Murong Qingyu's words, Emo Qingyun revealed a resolute expression as he continued to run with Murong Qingyu. However, as time passed, the distance between them and Shueisha demigod was indeed shrinking bit by bit. If nothing unexpected happened, it wouldn't be long before Shueisha demigod caught up to the two of them. Thinking that Shueisha demigod would catch up to the two of them, and that he would implicate Emo Qingyun and die, Murong Qingyu couldn't help but feel a burst of heartache. No, I can't implicate Emo Qingyun. I can't let him die because of me. Very quickly, Murong Qingyu made a decision in his heart. He pretended to be angry as he angrily said to Emo Qingyun, "Emo Qingyun, quickly put me down. I don't need you to save me. Who are you to me, Emo Qingyun? Why should I need you to save me?" At this moment, Murong Qingyu's pestering was displayed to the extreme. He wanted to use this to anger Emo Qingyun and make Emo Qingyun abandon him, allowing Emo Qingyun to safely escape. However, Emo Qingyun's following actions caused Murong Qingyu to be in a daze. An indescribable sweetness rose in his heart. "You shut up. Your life was saved by me earlier. Right now it belongs to me. I said I won't leave you behind, so I will never leave you behind." Hearing Murong Qingyu's words, Emo Qingyun's expression became solemn, and he directly berated her. With Emo Qingyun's experience, he could naturally see that Murong Qingyu's actions earlier were completely for him to leave by himself. It was absolutely not to pester endlessly. Chapter 942. Seeing Murong Qingyu's expression, Emo Qingyun was immediately dumbfounded. He didn't know what to do. Let him fight with others, refine pills, and so on. But let him coax a woman, he was stumped. Miss Murong, don't cry. Just now, I didn't mean to yell at you. Emo Qingyun bitterly smiled. A burst of depression rose in his heart. His mind was in a mess. Let him coax a woman not to cry. He really wasn't good at it. He simply didn't have any experience in this area. He really couldn't figure out why a woman like Murong Qingyu would have a time when she would cry. Idiot, I didn't say I was angry with you. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Murong Qingyu couldn't help but smile sweetly. She looked at Mo Qingyun with a strange expression and said coquettishly, "Don't talk to me anymore. Quickly, focus on escaping with me. Otherwise, if we are caught by the blood fiend demigod, I won't forgive you." Oomph. Seeing Murong Qingyu's action, Mo Qingyun suddenly felt depressed. He once again sighed that women were fickle. Murong Qingyu, who was still crying a second ago, in a blink of an eye, she stopped crying and smiled. However, seeing that Murong Qingyu was no longer crying, Mo Qingyun also let out a sigh of relief. Next, Mo Qingyun revealed a serious and firm expression. He brought Murong Qingyu and madly ran forward. Looking at Mo Qingyun, who was close at hand, Murong Qingyu's eyes couldn't help but be somewhat infatuated. A strange feeling rose in her heart. That feeling was like excitement, like joy, like intimacy, like being moved. In short, it was a very complicated feeling. But it was this kind of feeling that made Murong Qingyu intoxicated and unable to extricate herself. At this moment, although the distance between them and the blood fiend demigod was getting closer and closer, in Murong Qingyu's heart, she wasn't worried at all. At this moment, the only thought in her heart was to unhesitatingly believe in Mo Qingyun. "You'll definitely take me away, right?" Looking at Mo Qingyun in front of him, Murong Qingyu silently thought. An intense sweetness rose in his heart, and a sweet smile appeared on his face. Then, Murong Qingyu's body unconsciously leaned closer to Mo Qingyun. His head gently rested on Mo Qingyun's shoulder, and his hand embraced Mo Qingyun's waist. Sensing Murong Qingyu's small action, Mo Qingyun's expression was slightly startled. He was somewhat surprised by Murong Qingyu's action. Her little action was discovered by Mo Qingyun. Murong Qingyu's face revealed an unruly expression. Pretending to be fierce, she glared at Mo Qingyun and said, "What are you looking at? I'm afraid that you'll run too fast and accidentally throw me off. Don't worry, I will never leave you behind." Hearing Murong Qingyu's words, Mo Qingyun did not even think and answered without hesitation. "Don't be distracted. If we run faster, the blood fiend demigod will catch up." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyu sweetly smiled and gently whispered into Mo Qingyun's ear. At this moment, after Murong Qingyu said those words, Mo Qingyun's expression suddenly changed greatly. There was no road ahead. At this moment, there was only a narrow canyon in front of the two of them. Not only that, within this narrow canyon, there were many imposing black and white symbols flickering. Obviously, this canyon was not a good place. If it wasn't a dangerous place, then it must be a place with a terrifying formation. The degree of danger was not the slightest bit lower than the blood fiend demigod. Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu's current situation could be said to be a fierce tiger in front and a hungry wolf behind. This is really troublesome. Looking at the formation canyon in front of them, Mo Qingyun stopped and a bad feeling arose in his heart. Seeing the formation canyon in front of them, the blood fiend demigod immediately revealed a complacent expression. He looked at Murong Qingyu and laughed. "Ha! Saintess Qingyu, let's see where you'll escape to this time." The blood fiend demigod laughed complacently and stopped chasing. Step by step, he approached Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu. From the blood fiend demigod's point of view, unless Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu weren't afraid of death and charged into the formation canyon, the two of them were like turtles in a jar. Looking at the blood fiend demigod that was constantly approaching, Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu's expressions became grave. "Lady Murong, you go first. I'll delay him for a moment." Looking at the blood fiend demigod that was constantly approaching, Mo Qingyun revealed a solemn expression and instructed Murong Qingyu, who was beside him. After hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyu was moved. The corners of her eyes reddened as she looked at Mo Qingyun and asked, "Mo Qingyun, didn't you just say that you'll never leave me behind? Are you going to break your promise now?" This, Hearing Murong Qingyu's words, Mo Qingyun's expression slightly changed. He quickly understood Murong Qingyu's thoughts and solemnly said, "Okay, let's face the blood fiend demigod together." Okay. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyu sweetly smiled. She raised her hand and held onto Mo Qingyun's hand. Seeing Murong Qingyu's action, Mo Qingyun was slightly taken aback. Immediately after, he gave Murong Qingyu a knowing smile. Nothing needed to be said. After holding onto Murong Qingyu's hand, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and shook it. He took out talisman after talisman that was flickering with light. After taking out the talisman, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate to activate the talisman and send it towards the blood fiend demigod. Talisman. Seeing Mo Qingyun's attack, the blood fiend demigod's expression slightly changed. He revealed an astonished expression and disdainfully said, "Just these 6 and 7 seal talismans are not enough to threaten me. Break for me." Immediately after, the blood fiend demigod's face sank. He raised his hand and sent a powerful attack towards the talisman. Bang! 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 Under the blood fiend demigod's attack, the talismans that were attacking him were instantly destroyed. "Let's go. We'll enter the Array Canyon." When the blood fiend demigod attacked the talismans, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate to bring Murong Qingyu and charged into the Array Canyon. Mo Qingyun was very clear in his heart that with his current strength, it was impossible for him to bring Murong Qingyu and escape from the blood fiend demigod's hands. Since there was only a slim chance of survival in the hands of the blood fiend demigod, he might as well bring Murong Qingyu and charge into the Array Canyon. This way, they would be able to fight for a slim chance of survival. This was a gamble with huge stakes. If they were not careful, they might lose forever. Of course, the reason why Mo Qingyun dared to do this was mainly because he had the 5-directional pagoda. He believed that with the might of the 5-directional pagoda, it should be able to withstand the impact of the array runes. You too, seeing Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu's actions, the blood fiend demigod's face was instantly filled with shock. He never thought that Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu would do such a thing. Subsequently, Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu's figures disappeared before his eyes as they entered the Array Canyon. Oomph. There are no other exits in this canyon. This old man will guard this place. I want to see if you two can come out or not. Chapter 943. After entering the array formation, the scene before Mo Qingyun's eyes became a hazy expanse. In front of him, there were clumps of black and white chi that were randomly flying. Bang! The black and white chi collided and began to fuse together, slowly forming a faint human figure. It was a child that had just been born. After the black chi turned into a child, the child began to grow little by little. Youth, middle age, old age. In a short period of time, the child formed by the black and white chi had experienced a lifetime of reincarnation. Bang! After the child formed by the black chi experienced a lifetime of reincarnation, it directly exploded and turned back into black and white chi, fluttering aimlessly within the formation. Following that, the black chi continuously turned into children and experienced reincarnation before Mo Qingyun's eyes. After seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun's expression could not help but change. He knew what kind of formation was in front of him. Life and death, nirvana, reincarnation formation. After knowing the origin of this formation, Mo Qingyun could not help but be startled. He inwardly said, "If I'm not wrong, this should be the ancient divine beast phoenix's place of nirvana. With the help of this life and death nirvana reincarnation formation, it can undergo nirvana rebirth. Miss Murong, the life and death nirvana reincarnation formation is not a dangerous formation. We can be considered safe now." Mo Qingyun faintly smiled at Murong Qingyu. After comforting her, his expression became a little more serious. He continued, "However, the blood fiend demigod is still guarding the exit of the valley. It seems that if we want to leave this place, We will need to beat him back. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyo's expression could not help but become a little gloomy. From her point of view, if they were unable to defeat the blood fiend demigod, they would probably be trapped here forever. More importantly, with their current strength, it was too difficult to defeat the blood fiend demigod. However, when Murong Qingyu saw Mo Qingyun in front of her, her expression could not help but be a little more delighted. Perhaps in her heart, she thought that being able to stay in this array formation with Mo Qingyun was a very good thing. The life and death Nirvana Samsara array does not possess any killing power, although it has temporarily frightened Demigod Blood Fiend. If Demigod Blood Fiend were to see through it, it would be troublesome if he were to rush in. Considering that the life and death Nirvana Samsara formation did not possess any killing power, Mo Qingyun frowned a little. His expression became a little more solemn as he said, "Looks like I need to make some preparations to prevent the Blood Fiend half-sovereign from charging in. We won't have any power to rely on. However, we're currently within this life and death reincarnation formation, so how can we take precautions against any dangers?" Murong Qingyu was puzzled. He didn't know what Mo Qingyun meant, nor did he know what Mo Qingyun was planning to do. With regards to Murong Qingyu's puzzlement, Mo Qingyun faintly smiled and explained to her, "In a moment, I will arrange some illusory, killing, and trapping arrays at the entrance of the life and death Nirvana Samsara formation. At that time, they should be able to block the Blood Fiend demigod for a period of time." Arrange arrays? You also know about arrays? Murong Qingyu's charming face changed and ripples rose in her heart. The gaze she used to look at Mo Qingyun changed a little. With regards to the change in Murong Qingyu's gaze, Mo Qingyun did not notice. After he explained to Murong Qingyu, he immediately began to arrange the arrays. Subsequently, Murong Qingyu silently stood to the side and watched Mo Qingyun arrange the arrays. No one knew what she was thinking. One day later, "Phew, it's finally completed." Mo Qingyun stopped his movements and revealed a satisfied smile. He was very satisfied with his masterpiece and said with a faint smile, "With the combined might of these arrays, even if it can't seriously injure the Blood Fiend half-sovereign, it's enough to make him battered and exhausted." After muttering to himself with a faint smile, Mo Qingyun's expression became serious again. He said in a deep voice, "With this array, we can wholeheartedly start to cultivate. Next, before the Blood Fiend half-sovereign comes in, I must raise my cultivation by 1 level. Raise your cultivation by 1 level. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyu's beautiful eyebrows slightly knitted. She revealed an embarrassed expression and said, "With our current realm, to raise our cultivation by 1 level, it will take at least 1 year. To raise our cultivation by 1 level in a short period of time, I'm afraid it won't be an easy thing. Under normal circumstances, that's indeed the case. However, I will arrange a time shift array for you. It could double your cultivation speed." Regarding Murong Qingyu's apprehension, Mo Qingyun faintly smiled and spoke to dispel the worry in her heart. "Time shift array." Murong Qingyu's expression was slightly startled. Although she had seen Mo Qingyun's array skills, she did not expect that Mo Qingyun would actually know this kind of array. Subsequently, under Murong Qingyu's gaze, Mo Qingyun unhurriedly arranged the time shift array. After several hours, a magnificent light formed the array in front of Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu. It formed a light curtain that was like the flow of time, emitting a mysterious power. The time shift array was completed. "Phew, it's finally a success." Seeing that the time shift array was successfully arranged, Mo Qingyun revealed a brilliant smile. He said to Murong Qingyu with a faint smile, "Due to the lack of refining materials and the lack of time, I can only arrange a 10 times time shift array. If you enter it to cultivate, cultivating for 1 day inside is equivalent to cultivating for 10 days outside. 10 times cultivation speed." Murong Qingyu's charming face was startled. Her beautiful eyes widened as she stared blankly at Mo Qingyun. Clearly, She was not lightly shocked by Mo Qingyun's words. Looking at Mo Qingyun's appearance, it seemed that he was not satisfied with the 10 times cultivation speed. Then I will start cultivating. After all, Murong Qingyu was not an ordinary person. After a short moment of surprise, she smiled sweetly at Mo Qingyun and walked into the time shift array to cultivate. Seeing that Murong Qingyu had entered the time shift array, Mo Qingyun did not stay idle. He lifted his foot and walked towards the center of the life and death nirvana samsara ray. Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Murong Qingyu revealed a puzzled expression. She asked puzzledly, Mo Qingyun, you're not coming in to accompany me? You're not coming in to accompany me? When Murong Qingyu said this, her charming face unconsciously turned bright red. She seemed to feel that these words were somewhat inappropriate. I want to borrow the help of the life and death nirvana samsara ray to comprehend the origin power of life and death. Therefore, I will not enter the time shift array. Mo Qingyun shook his head and explained to Murong Qingyu. Then, he continued to walk towards the center of the life and death nirvana samsara array. Hearing Mo Qingyun say this, Murong Qingyu did not say anything else and began to cultivate in the time shift array. Chapter 944. Devouring Gate. Sitting in the center of the life and death nirvana reincarnation array, Mo Qingyun immediately used the devouring gate to devour the life and death source energy of the array. To him, time was very precious. Therefore, he couldn't afford to waste any of it. Otherwise, once the blood fiend demigod charged in and destroyed the array at the entrance of the life and death nirvana reincarnation array, what could he use to resist the blood fiend demigod? With his current cultivation, it was absolutely impossible for him to resist the blood fiend demigod's attack. Therefore, while the life and death nirvana reincarnation array could still intimidate the blood fiend demigod, he had to seize the time to raise his cultivation. Under the devouring gate's absorption, the black and white chi within the life and death nirvana reincarnation array was tyrannically sucked in. When the black chi was sucked into the devouring gate, it was transformed into life and death source energy by the devouring gate and entered Mo Qingyun's body. Immediately after, Mo Qingyun began to comprehend the life and death source energy bit by bit, raising his own life and death source energy. Following that, time slowly passed as Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyun cultivated. After an unknown period of time, bang, 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 loud noises came from the entrance of the life and death nirvana reincarnation array. Someone was destroying the array at the entrance. After discovering this, Mo Qingyun's expression was immediately startled, and he withdrew from his cultivation. Could it be that the blood fiend demigod is destroying the array? Following that, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and arrived at the entrance of the life and death nirvana reincarnation array. What's going on? When Mo Qingyun arrived at the entrance of the life and death nirvana reincarnation array, Murong Qingyu revealed a nervous expression and came to Mo Qingyun's side. Don't be nervous. I'll go take a look. After comforting Murong Qingyu, Mo Qingyun's figure flashed and entered the array at the entrance. Roar! As Mo Qingyun entered the array at the entrance, sinister-looking demonic beasts appeared in his line of sight. The eyes of these demonic beasts were blood-red, as if they were under a spell. They frantically attacked the array at the entrance. Demonic beast. Looking at the demonic beast before him, Mo Qingyun's brows furrowed as a strong sense of foreboding rose in his heart. He didn't think that demigod bloodfiend would have such a trump card. If that was the case, the thing he was worried about would happen. Once the blood fiend demigod passed the devil beast verification and knew that there was no danger in the life and death nirvana samsara array, he would rush in without hesitation. At that time, Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu's situation would become incomparably worrisome. We absolutely cannot let blood fiend demigod discover us. This life and death nirvana samsara array is not dangerous. At this moment, Mo Qingyun quickly made a decision in his heart. His expression turned cold as he coldly said, "If we want the blood fiend demigod to continue being unable to see through the depths of the life and death nirvana samsara array, we must kill these devil beasts that have entered the array. 7 essences as one." Then, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and attacked the devil beast in front of him with all his might. Under the support of the 7 different essences, the colorless sword flickered with radiance as it slashed out a 7-colored sword light with astonishing momentum. As soon as the sword radiance was unleashed, it swept forward. Wherever it passed, all the demonic beasts were beheaded and killed on the spot. However, although the devil beasts within the array were killed, the devil beasts outside the array were still rushing in endlessly. Seeing such a situation, Mo Qingyun's brows furrowed even tighter. This was not a good sign. Next, Mo Qingyun crazily hunted down the devil beasts, killing all the devil beasts that had rushed into the array. Time slowly passed. At this moment, Mo Qingyun and the devil beasts were fighting a tug of war against time. It depended on who could last the longest. If Mo Qingyun's yuan power was insufficient, and he was unable to kill the devil beasts that had entered the array, the consequences could be imagined. Fortunately, after 2 hours, the devil beasts finally stopped entering the life and death nirvana samsara array. Phew, I finally made it through. Seeing that there were no more devil beasts coming in, Mo Qingyun let out a deep breath as his expression became much more relaxed. Next, Mo Qingyun began to repair the array, repairing the places that had been destroyed by the devil beasts. Not only that, but after repairing the original formation, Mo Qingyun also set up some trapping formations and killing formations. This made the defensive and destructive power of the array at the entrance more stable and powerful than before. After finishing all this, Mo Qingyun felt relieved and walked out of the array. What happened? Why did you go in for so long? Seeing Mo Qingyun coming out of the array, Murong Qingyu's face revealed a worried expression. She hurriedly asked about Mo Qingyun's situation and said, "Did the blood fiend demigod come to break the array? Did he leave now?" "It's not the blood fiend demigod. It's close to 10,000 devil beasts breaking the array. It should be the blood fiend demigod." Mo Qingyun's face revealed a dignified expression as he explained to Murong Qingyu. He continued, "Next, I'm afraid we won't be able to cultivate in peace. We must leave someone behind to guard the array to prevent the devil beasts from coming in to break the array again. I'll guard the array. My cultivation has just broken through to the Heaven Dipper 8th stage. I'm afraid I won't be able to break through again in a short period of time." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyu recommended herself without any hesitation. She revealed a serious expression and said, "In addition, I have a way to deal with the devil beasts. Therefore, it's more suitable for me to guard the array." All right. Hearing Murong Qingyu's words, Mo Qingyun did not refuse and nodded in agreement to her suggestion. Next, Mo Qingyun explained the method of controlling the array to Murong Qingyu in detail. After he finished explaining everything, Mo Qingyun took out a jade slip and handed it over to Murong Qingyu. Inside this jade slip, there is a soul imprint of mine. If you can't resist the invasion of the demonic beasts, crush it, and I will enter the formation to help you. And got it. Quickly go and cultivate. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyu smiled sweetly at Mo Qingyun. She made an expression that made Mo Qingyun feel relieved. All right. Mo Qingyun nodded and walked towards the center of the life and death nirvana samsara array. He began to refine and comprehend the life and death origin. Time passed by little. In the following period of time, several waves of devil beasts rushed into the life and death nirvana samsara array. However, they were all blocked by Murong Qingyu. During this period of time, with the help of the life and death nirvana samsara array, Mo Qingyun's life and death origin realm increased very quickly. At this moment, Mo Qingyun, who had been cultivating all this time, suddenly opened his eyes, a look of intense surprise appearing on his face. The life and death origin power has finally reached perfection. Seeing that the life and death origin power had reached perfection, Imo Qingyun's expression turned serious. He said in a deep voice, "Since the life and death origin power has reached perfection, next, I'll attack the divine ability realm in one go." After speaking, Imo Qingyun no longer hesitated. He once again immersed himself in cultivation and began to attack the divine ability realm. Chapter 945. During this period of cultivation, Imo Qingyun's cultivation had long reached the peak of the Heaven Star border realm. If not for Imo Qingyun suppressing his cultivation and not allowing his cultivation to break through to the transcendent realm, he would have already reached the transcendent realm. Now that Imo Qingyun wanted to break through to the transcendent realm, there was naturally no difficulty. Boom! As Imo Qingyun released the suppression of his cultivation, the yuan energy in his body rushed towards the barrier of the realm like water that had been opened. Under the impact of this violent yuan energy, the barrier of the realm was like a thin piece of paper that was instantly broken through forcefully. As the barrier of the realm was broken through, Imo Qingyun instantly felt that his body had become much more majestic. That feeling was as if his originally 1 meter tall figure had suddenly become 100 feet tall. The Heaven Star border realm is indeed incomparable to the transcendent realm. The yuan energy in my body is now at least 10 times richer than the Heaven Star border realm. Sensing the increase in his strength, Imo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised and began to cultivate to stabilize his current realm. Several hours later, under Imo Qingyun's continued cultivation, his realm finally stabilized. Since my realm has been stabilized, it's time to condense the transcendent treasure elephant. Seeing that his realm had been completely stabilized, Imo Qingyun did not want to waste any time and immediately began to condense the transcendent treasure elephant. The most important thing for cultivation to break through to the transcendent realm was to condense one's own transcendent treasure elephant and let the origin energy completely merge into one's body. At this moment, 9 different colored origin energy flew out of Imo Qingyun's body one after another. When the 9 origin energy flew out of Imo Qingyun's body, the creation mountain and river diagram also flew out of his body and merged tightly with the 9 origin energy. As the 9 origin energy merged with the creation mountain and river diagram, the shape of the creation mountain and river diagram began to change slowly. The creation mountain and river diagram, which was originally in the shape of a scroll, began to solidify and expand bit by bit, evolving into a real mountain, river, and land. Imo Qingyun quickly discovered the changes in the creation mountain and river diagram, which shocked Imo Qingyun. The current situation was something he had not expected. I wonder what the landscape of creation will look like after it evolves into a magical treasure elephant. Imo Qingyun could not help but feel excited as he watched the creation mountain and river diagram slowly solidify and strengthen. A strong sense of anticipation rose in his heart. After observing the changes in the creation mountain and river diagram, Imo Qingyun started to condense the essence force in his body and prepare to break through the barrier of the transcendent realm. A few days later, after a few days of evolution, the creation mountain and river diagram had completely evolved into the shape of a real continent. This continent was similar to the Tianhun continent in that it was home to countless living beings who cultivated, played, and reproduced. If there was a difference between this continent and the Tianhun continent, it would be that the Tianhun continent was smaller in size. Is this my divine ability treasure elephant? Looking at the floating continent in front of him, Imo Qingyun's face lit up with excitement. Ecstasy rose in his heart as he said, "Since you evolved from the Fortune Mountain and River diagram, then you shall be called the Fortune Continent." Boom! At this moment, while Imo Qingyun was still in shock over the Creation Mountain and River diagram, he suddenly felt a buzz in his head. Following that, Imo Qingyun discovered that the connection between him and the Creation Mountain and River diagram seemed to have become closer. However, before Imo Qingyun could recover from his shock, an unbelievable situation occurred and stunned him instantly. My Dantian is gone, no. It seems like my Dantian has turned into the Fortune Continent. A person's Dantian turning into a continent. What kind of situation was this? Imo Qingyun had no idea at all. Because even with his previous life's experience as a Supreme Realm expert, he had never heard of such a thing. In other words, from now on, the Heaven and Earth Essence Force contained in the Fortune Continent would become the Essence Force in Mo Qingyun's body. A person being able to use the Essence Force of an entire continent. What a freakish thing this was, If such a thing were to spread out, perhaps even a transcendent realm expert would be scared to death. More importantly, everyone knew that the Dantian was the weakest part of a cultivator's body. Now, Mo Qingyun's Dantian had turned into a continent. One could only imagine how freakish his Dantian was. It could be said that from now on, Mo Qingyun's strongest part was his Dantian. At this moment, after Mo Qingyun was connected to the Fortune Continent, a 9-colored rainbow appeared above the Fortune Continent. After this 9-colored rainbow appeared, it pierced through the Fortune Continent in an instant, sending down rays of 9-colored light. Bathed in this 9-colored light, the Fortune Continent's inhabitants revealed intoxicated expressions, as if they had received a blessing from the heavens. At the same time, a strange energy flew out from their bodies, turning into golden light spots. After these golden light spots appeared, they flew out from the Fortune Continent and entered Mo Qingyun's body little by little. What an amazing, strange energy. Mo Qingyun was pleasantly surprised when he saw the strange energy constantly pouring into his body. He became excited and said in pleasant surprise, "If this strange energy is constantly produced at this speed, I'll probably only need 3 days to use the Divine Lotus General's true body summoning talisman." There was often a gap between reality and imagination. While Mo Qingyun's heart was filled with anticipation, the 9-colored rainbow slowly dissipated. As the 9-colored rainbow slowly dissipated, the strange energy's speed also slowed down. Seeing this situation, Mo Qingyun felt a little regretful. However, Mo Qingyun didn't mind too much. A bright smile appeared on his face as he said, "Although the 9-colored rainbow didn't last long, the strange energy produced in this short period of time is equivalent to 100 times of a normal day. I wonder how Qingyu is doing now." Coming out from his cultivation, Mo Qingyun had a nervous expression on his face as he rushed towards the entrance of the Life and Death Nirvana Reincarnation Array. Moments later, Mo Qingyun entered the array and saw Murong Qingyu fighting with the devil beasts. At this moment, Murong Qingyu's gaze was cold and indifferent, with a trace of stubbornness that refused to admit defeat. With Mo Qingyun's eyesight, he could clearly see that Murong Qingyu had reached her limit. At this moment, it was obvious that her essence force was running out. The reason she was still able to persevere was due to the support of her conviction. 9 essences is 1. Seeing this, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated. Holding the colorless sword, he charged towards the devil beasts. After Mo Qingyun's sword slashed out, a 9-colored sword light erupted from the colorless sword, swallowing a large number of devil beasts in an instant. Chapter 946. Qingyun, you finished cultivating. I finally did it. Seeing Mo Qingyun in front of her, Murong Qingyu was pleasantly surprised. She was like a little girl who had completed her goal. Perhaps because she was too tired, Murong Qingyu only spoke half of her sentence before she fainted. Seeing that Murong Qingyu had fainted, Mo Qingyun quickly raised his hand to hold her waist and pulled her into his arms. Then, Mo Qingyun held Murong Qingyu with one hand and killed the devil beasts in the formation with the other hand. Under Mo Qingyun's powerful attacks, the devil beasts in the formation were killed one by one. After half an hour, not a single devil beast could be found in the formation. They all died under Mo Qingyun's sword. After killing all the devil beasts in the formation, Mo Qingyun held Murong Qingyu and left the formation. He helped her to sit down in the Life and Death Nirvana Reincarnation formation. After Murong Qingyu sat down, she woke up from her coma. She looked at Mo Qingyun with a confused gaze. "Qingyun, did you have a breakthrough in your cultivation?" Looking at Mo Qingyun in front of her, Murong Qingyu smiled weakly. Her tone was a bit weak. It seemed that in the previous battle, she had overdrafted her Yuan Li. There were already some sequelae. "Silly girl, since you have reached your limit, why didn't you crush the jade slip I gave you?" Looking at the weak Murong Qingyu in front of him, Mo Qingyun showed a distressed expression and said with a bit of blame, "I believe that if you were guarding the formation, you would do the same." Towards Mo Qingyun's reproaching words, Murong Qingyu smiled sweetly. She did not show the slightest bit of displeasure. On the contrary, when she heard Mo Qingyun's reproaching words, she felt happy and sweet in her heart. In her opinion, the reason why Mo Qingyun said that was because he cared about her. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Mo Qingyun was somewhat speechless. Murong Qingyu was right. If he was the one guarding the formation, he would be the same as Murong Qingyu. You have overdraft your essence force. Rest here for a while, and I will refine a cauldron of elixirs for you. Looking at Murong Qingyu, whose complexion was somewhat pale, Mo Qingyun gently instructed her, then took out the holy beast cauldron. You also know alchemy? Seeing Mo Qingyun's action, Murong Qingyu couldn't help but reveal a surprised expression. He was very surprised by this scene. As she continued to interact with Mo Qingyun, she realized that there was nothing that Mo Qingyun could not do. You'll know in the future. With regards to Murong Qingyu's question, Mo Qingyun did not directly answer. He only faintly smiled and said again, "Quickly cultivate and recover. If you delay for too long, it may affect your future cultivation." Oof. If you don't want to say, then don't say. Do you think I really want to know? Hearing Mo Qingyun's answer, Murong Qingyu pretended to be displeased and raised her white chin. She seemed to want to use this to express her dissatisfaction with Mo Qingyun. However, although Murong Qingyu said so, the sweet smile on her face betrayed her inner thoughts. From her sweet smile, she was not angry with Mo Qingyun at all. Bang, bang, bang. Just as Mo Qingyun was preparing to refine elixirs for Murong Qingyu to recover, a loud sound was heard. "Ha ha! Saintess Qingyu, although you have been slaughtering my devil beasts, you didn't expect that in the end, you still missed one." Immediately after the loud sound, Shueisha demigod's complacent words were transmitted to Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu's ears. Hearing Shueisha demigod's words, Murong Qingyu's expression paled a bit. Her expression revealed intense worry as she blamed herself. "It's all my fault. I didn't kill all of those devil beasts, and let Shueisha demigod know about the situation of the life and death nirvana samsara ray. No need to think too much. Leave everything to me. You just need to focus on recovering." Seeing Murong Qingyu's face full of self-blame, Mo Qingyun faintly smiled at her to make her feel at ease. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyu obediently nodded and began to cultivate to recover. Murong Qingyu thought in her heart that if she recovered a bit more yuan power, she would be able to help Mo Qingyun a bit more. Seeing that Murong Qingyu had begun to recover, Mo Qingyun didn't continue to stay. His figure moved and rushed towards the entrance of the life and death nirvana samsara array. After arriving at the entrance of the life and death nirvana samsara array, Mo Qingyun saw Shueisha demigod frantically bombarding the array that was blocking his path. When Mo Qingyun saw Shueisha demigod also saw Mo Qingyun. He revealed a bewildered expression and said, "Your cultivation has actually broken through to the transcendent realm. It seems that you haven't been idle during this period of time. With you guarding outside, how would I dare to slack off in the slightest?" Hearing Shueisha demigod's words, Mo Qingyun faintly smiled. There wasn't the slightest bit of panic in his expression. Mo Qingyun's cultivation had broken through to the transcendent realm. At this moment, when he faced Shueisha demigod again, he no longer felt the pressure from before. "Kid, you are quite self-aware. It seems that Qingyu Saintess has been guarding the cave during this period of time, so that you can cultivate." Shueisha demigod smiled faintly at Mo Qingyun. His expression was mocking as he sneered and said, "In that case, let me see how much you have improved during this period of time. I hope that you won't be too surprised later." Mo Qingyun smiled faintly. He then took out the colorless sword and faced Shueisha demigod head-on. Bloodbath demonic book Bloodbat covers the moon. Under Shueisha demigod's attack, A huge ball of blood chi and origin energy rapidly gathered in front of him. In the blink of an eye, the huge ball of blood chi turned into a huge bloodbat that emitted a gloomy and bloody aura. Flap! Flap! As the bloodbat flapped its wings, it let out a low sound and released blood-colored sound waves that disturbed one's mind. Primordial demonic sound peeparoon shake. In the face of the bloodbat's sound waves, Mo Qingyun didn't dare hesitate. He immediately took out the primordial demonic sound peeparoon. Buzz! As soon as the primordial demonic sound peeparoon was taken out, it emitted demonic sound waves that collided with the blood-colored sound waves. Immediately after, the blood-colored sound waves' influence on Mo Qingyun's mind was reduced to a negligible level. The weapon talisman real body of the weapon talisman sect. Seeing the white jade pipa rune above Mo Qingyun, Shueisha demigod was shocked. His gaze sharpened as he said coldly, "Lad, who exactly are you? Why do you have the weapon talisman sect's legacy on the path of the celestial path?" "I don't think I need to tell you about this." Mo Qingyun replied coldly with a disdainful expression in response to Shueisha demigod's question. "Humph. Since you don't want to tell me, I will personally seek the answer." After Shueisha demigod finished speaking, he didn't say anything more to Mo Qingyun and attacked Mo Qingyun again. "Good timing. I can borrow your strength to test my strength." Chapter 9, 47. Demonic Book of Blood. Demonic Spear shakes the world. Demigod Shueisha raised his hand, and a terrifying blood-colored yuan power burst out from his hand. Immediately after, this threatening blood-colored origin energy transformed into a blood spear that soared into the sky. As demigod Shueisha waved the blood-colored spear, it suddenly glowed with blood-colored light and looked extremely beautiful. Streaks of intimidating blood blades shot out from the flashing blood spear and shot towards Mo Qingyun at an extremely fast speed. 9 origins as one. Facing demigod Shueisha's attack, Mo Qingyun did not dare to be careless and directly released the 9 origins. After the 9 origins were released, they merged with yuan power and formed a 9-colored sword light that went towards the blood-colored blades. Bang, bang, bang. When the 9-colored sword light and the blood-colored blades collided, there was a loud boom and a shocking yuan power wave exploded. Facing the impact of a yuan power wave, Mo Qingyun and demigod Shueisha quickly retreated to avoid being swallowed by the yuan power wave. When Mo Qingyun and demigod Shueisha were dodging, some of the array foundations were instantly destroyed by the shock waves. Boom, boom, boom. When the array foundations were damaged, some of the arrays instantly collapsed, and there was a loud explosion. Seeing several formations being destroyed one after another, demigod Blood Fiend revealed a smug expression. He looked at Mo Qingyun and sneered, "Brat, now that half of the formations are destroyed, this old man wants to see what you will use to stop me." "Humph. Even without the help of the arrays, it is still easy for me to kill you." In response to demigod Shueisha's smug words, Mo Qingyun did not have the slightest emotion and replied indifferently. After exchanging blows with the blood fiend demi-venerate, Mo Qingyun already had a rough understanding of his own strength. With the level of his current origin energy, even a quasi-exalt realm expert was still unable to compare to him. Demigod Shueisha was no longer invincible in Mo Qingyun's eyes. 9 origins as one. After staring at demigod Shueisha, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate and took the lead to slash at demigod Shueisha. With a slash, Mo Qingyun's long sword suddenly had mysterious power. This was the power of the sword force. Sword force. This kid actually comprehended the power of the sword force. Sensing the power of the colorless sword, the blood fiend demigod's expression could not help but change, revealing a trace of surprise. He did not expect Mo Qingyun to successfully comprehend the power of the sword force when he had just broken through to the divine realm. However, demigod Bloodfiend was only slightly surprised by this. He did not show too much of a change in his emotions. After all, Many transcendent realm cultivators, as long as they were slightly more talented, would be able to comprehend some of the power of the sword. Demigod Shueisha was Shueisha. Did not speak Shueisha's. However, in the following exchange of blows, the more demigod blood fiend fought, the more shocked and terrified he became. He realized that as Mo Qingyun continued to exchange blows with him, Mo Qingyun's comprehension of the sword force increased at a crazy speed. In the blink of an eye, Mo Qingyun's control of the power of the sword force increased from the beginner's level to the peak of the small success level. This kind of speed of improvement could be said to be very abnormal. Under normal circumstances, even a supreme realm expert might not be able to comprehend the realm of the sword force to the small success level. On the other hand, what about Mo Qingyun? After exchanging a few hundred blows with him, Shueisha had comprehended the realm of the sword force to the small success level. What a crazy speed of improvement! At this moment, Mo Qingyun's comprehension had completely broken demigod Shueisha's understanding. This kid can't be left alive. After a short moment of shock, demigod Shueisha made a decision and looked at Mo Qingyun coldly. At this moment, as demigod Shueisha's killing intent intensified, Mo Qingyun's sword came again. Seeing this, demigod Shueisha did not dare to be careless and quickly blocked the attack with his blood spear. Mo Qingyun and the Shueisha half-venerate clashed once again, and they fought crazily. Right now, if there was anyone present, they would definitely be greatly shocked by the scene before them. A pseudo-exalt was actually unable to retaliate against a first-level transcendent realm cultivator. It had to be said that this was really too abnormal. Just a little more. As Mo Qingyun continued to exchange blows with demigod Shueisha, his comprehension of the sword force became deeper and clearer. Presently, his comprehension of sword force had already reached the limit of minor accomplishment, and he was merely a step away from attaining mastery. Once his comprehension of sword force reached a higher level, defeating the blood fiend demigod would be as easy as flipping his hand. Of course, the reason why Mo Qingyun could comprehend the sword force so quickly was mainly because of his foundation in understanding the saber force. The comprehension of the power of the universe was different, and it led to the same goal. Many monstrous geniuses were able to use all kinds of grand forces at their fingertips when using the grand forces of heaven and earth. At this moment, Mo Qingyun was comprehending the sword force. In fact, he was only converting the use of the saber force to the use of the sword force. Once his conversion of the saber force reached the limit of his comprehension of the saber force, it would be difficult for him to improve the realm of the sword force. Bang! There was another earth-shattering collision. This time, Mo Qingyun and demigod Shueisha were both sent flying. Puff! After Mo Qingyun and demigod Shueisha steadied themselves, they spat out a mouthful of blood and squatted on the ground. At this moment, waves of origin energy swept across the two of them, and they instantly emitted a murderous aura. The higher realm of the sword force. How is this possible? Seeing that Mo Qingyun's sword force had improved again, demigod Shueisha's expression trembled and a strong chill rose in his heart. In less than 2 hours, Mo Qingyun had improved his comprehension of the sword force from the beginner level to the higher realm. This terrifying speed of comprehension had never appeared in demigod Shueisha's memory. The realm of the sword force has finally reached the higher realm. Compared to demigod Shueisha's shock, Mo Qingyun's heart was filled with ecstasy and excitement. After the crazy fight with demigod Shueisha, he had not only converted the use of the saber force to the use of the sword force. Moreover, he had also successfully improved his comprehension of the sword force to the next level. This was something that he had not expected before. Immediately after, Mo Qingyun revealed a faint smile and slowly stood up. He looked sharply at demigod Shueisha and said, "In order to thank you for accompanying me in comprehending the sword, I will let you die in a dignified manner. Brat, don't be so arrogant. Although your sword force realm is high, There is a huge gap between our cultivations, and it is not so easy to make up for. Demigod Shueisha's expression was as cold as ice when he heard Mo Qingyun's cold words. His body emitted a strong chill. Chapter 948. Blood Qi Rampage. Since he had decided to kill the blood fiend demigod, Mo Qingyun did not hold back and unleashed his martial soul superpower, Blood Qi Rampage. Pa 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 pa, crisp sounds of bones being dislocated could be heard from Mo Qingyun's body, giving off a primitive and barbaric aura. Immediately after, a purple blood qi slowly gathered on the surface of Mo Qingyun's body and turned into a purple shadow. At the same time, the aura that Mo Qingyun exuded increased by several times. However, what surprised Mo Qingyun was that the blood qi rampage this time didn't increase his cultivation. It only increased the strength of his blood qi. The martial soul superpower, blood qi rampage, seems to have changed. Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly. Bewilderment rose in his heart. He was somewhat surprised by the current situation. However, Mo Qingyun was not too concerned about it. This was because he could feel that although the blood qi rampage had changed, its aura had become stronger. The blood qi rampage now lived up to its name, as it only increased the strength of the blood qi. What a shocking bloodline power! Feeling the power of the blood qi on Mo Qingyun's body, the blood fiend demigod was shocked. He looked at Mo Qingyun with fear and said to himself, "This lad bloodline power is at least 100 times stronger than my heavenly demon clan's bloodline power. Where did he come from?" As he continued to fight with Mo Qingyun, he realized that he could not see through Mo Qingyun. Strange superpower, strong comprehension, and terrifying bloodline power. All of this made Mo Qingyun seem like he was shrouded in a layer of fog, giving people a mysterious and strange feeling. Sealed door. Mo Qingyun did not care about the blood fiend demigod's shock and immediately unleashed the sealed door. In an instant, a mini light gate formed in front of Mo Qingyun and blasted towards the blood fiend demi-venerate. "Humph! Brat, you've gone too far." Seeing Mo Qingyun attack him in such a disdainful manner, demigod blood fiend flew into a rage. He raised his hand and grabbed at the sealed door. However, at that moment, demigod blood fiend had evidently underestimated the might of the sealed gate. As soon as his hand touched the sealed door flashed and entered his body, beginning to seal his bloodline and soul. Not long after, the blood fiend demigod's appearance had aged a little, and even his body had become a little hunched. Of course, Half-Reverend Shueisha's cultivation had also weakened significantly at this moment. It didn't take long for demigod blood fiend's cultivation to drop from demigod blood fiend to level 8 Abijna. How did this happen? My cultivation base? In the face of this sudden change, even with the mental state of the Shueisha Half-Zun, he could not help but feel alarmed. Immediately, the blood fiend demigod's face twitched. He looked at Mo Qingyun in horror and said, "Who exactly are you? What did you do to me just now?" He, Shueisha, had been cultivating for more than 1,000 years. He had never seen such a situation before. To him, this was simply too strange. "Brat, no matter how strange your methods are, you must die today." Die. Under the successive blows, Half-Reverend Blood Fiend's mental state was in a mess. He could no longer maintain his previous calmness and demeanor of an expert. Demonic Book of Bloodbath, body bathed in blood. As Half-Reverend Blood Fiend roared, the blood chi on his body soared into the sky, forming a blood chi flame outside his body. Under the impact of the blood chi flame, the surrounding ground was instantly corroded, turning into a blood-colored liquid. Seeing Half-Reverend Blood Fiend's methods, Mo Qingyun's expression turned grave. He sighed inwardly. A demigod expert is indeed different. Even if he is injured again and again, his strength is not something a peak transcendent realm expert can compare to. However, although Mo Qingyun was shocked by Half-Reverend Blood Fiend's strength, he did not reveal his panic. Immemorial demon revealing mirror talisman true body. Looking at half-reverend blood fiend before him, Mo Qingyun's lips curled up slightly. He raised his hand and took out a mirror-like talisman. Once the mirror-like talisman was taken out, it exploded with a shocking light and directly bombarded half-reverend blood fiend's body. Pucci, faced with the attack of the light, the blood chi flame outside half-reverend blood fiend's body was instantly dispersed. Half-reverend blood fiend returned to his original appearance, but his aura weakened slightly. Immemorial demon revealing mirror talisman true body, and also the legacy of the weapon talisman sect. Who exactly are you? Looking at the mirror talisman that was emitting a dazzling light above Mo Qingyun, half-reverend blood fiend's face twitched again, and fear rose in his heart. The scene before him made Mo Qingyun's image in his heart become even more mysterious. After you die, you'll know who I am, Mo Qingyun said coldly in response to half-reverend blood fiend's question with a mocking smile. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, half-reverend blood fiend became even more furious. His expression became even more ferocious as he said furiously, "Kid, you forced me to do this. Since that's the case, I will show you my most powerful technique." Superpower treasure elephant, ancient temple blood demon. Half-reverend blood fiend roared angrily as he stared at Mo Qingyun with a sinister gaze. He then summoned his superpower treasure elephant. Boom! Suddenly, a shocking sound reverberated in the air. Following that, a huge crack appeared in the air. The moment the crack appeared, two huge blood-red arms stretched out from it and tore the crack even wider. Not long after, a blood-red giant that was hundreds of meters tall walked out of the crack. This was half-reverend blood fiend's superpower treasure elephant. It was ranked near the top 1,000 on the superpower treasure elephant list, ancient temple blood demon. Kid, my superpower treasure elephant is ranked in the top 1,000 on the superpower treasure elephant list. Today, unless a venerable realm expert comes to save you, you will die without a doubt. Half-reverend blood fiend's gloomy expression revealed a trace of complacency and pride after summoning his superpower treasure elephant. However, having a superpower treasure elephant ranked in the top 1,000 gave him the right to be proud. Is that so? Looking at the blood-red giant in front of him, a faint smile appeared on Mo Qingyun's face. There was a hint of mockery in his eyes as he said, "Comparing superpower treasure elephants, I may not lose to you. Fortune Mainland, come out for me." Mo Qingyun did not waste any more words with half-reverend blood fiend and directly summoned the Fortune Mainland. Boom, boom, boom. The moment the Fortune Mainland appeared, it exploded with a towering pressure, shattering the remnants of the array formation. As the remnants of the array formation shattered, the situation between Mo Qingyun and half-reverend blood fiend was revealed without any concealment. Chapter 949. Half-venerable blood fiend is injured. Did Mo Qingyun injure him? Seeing the scene before his eyes, Murong Qingyo's face suddenly revealed shock. He was not lightly shocked by the scene before his eyes. For a moment, she found it hard to accept this reality. With half-venerable blood fiend's cultivation, he was actually injured by Mo Qingyun. Was there anything more ridiculous than this? The answer was obviously yes. Boom, boom, boom. At that moment, when Murong Qingyo's face was filled with shock, the sounds of air being crushed and exploding entered her ears. Then, she saw a huge piece of land pressing down on the blood-colored giant. That's Mo Qingyun's divine ability treasure elephant. Murong Qingyo's heart trembled as she looked at the million-meter piece of land. She was dumbfounded on the spot. This was the first time she had seen such a terrifying divine ability treasure elephant. Bang, bang, bang. Facing the Fortune Mainland's crushing force, the blood-colored giant was like a piece of paper, instantly crumbling. Puff! As the divine ability treasure elephant was crushed, half-venerable blood fiend, who was connected to it, vomited a mouthful of blood, and his face turned pale. Then half-venerable blood fiend's aura fluctuated, becoming unstable. It seemed like his divine ability precious elephant had been forcefully defeated, causing him great harm. It had already damaged his foundation. Half-venerable blood fiend panicked when he saw his divine ability treasure elephant being crushed to dust by Mo Qingyun's divine ability treasure elephant. He exclaimed, "What kind of divine ability treasure elephant is this?" If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it even if someone beat him to death. How could there be such a monstrous divine ability treasure elephant in this world? Even a number 1 divine ability treasure elephant on the divine ability treasure elephant list didn't have such monstrous power. After you die, you will naturally know. Mo Qingyun didn't reply to half-venerable blood fiend's question. Instead, he uttered the same cold words. Fortune mainland, suppress for me. Mo Qingyun controlled the fortune mainland and pressed down on half-venerable blood fiend in an overbearing manner. Half-venerable blood fiend's face twitched when he saw the fortune mainland rapidly closing in on him. His expression was filled with fear. Even the ancient temple's blood devil's powerful physical body couldn't withstand the fortune mainland suppression, not to mention his flesh and blood body. Heavenly demon disintegration. Half-venerable blood fiend didn't dare to hesitate and executed the heavenly demon clan's innate ability. Bang! Half-venerable blood fiend's divine ability exploded, turning into sesame-sized blood droplets and disappear. Domain's gate. Half-venerable blood of half-venerable blood fiend's eyes. Blood fiend's domain's blood fiend's body. Soon, Mo Qingyun found the blood fiend demigod hiding in this area. The artifact True Talisman True Body. A dazzling golden light burst forth from Fu Zhun, the artifact of the Archean demon, revealing mirror, and illuminated a spot inside the domain gate. Under the illumination of the ancient demon, revealing mirror's artifact Talisman True Body, the blood fiend demigod, who was hiding under the sky demon disintegration, let out a miserable shriek. Next, half-exalted Xue Sha, who was hiding in the domain gate, slowly regained his human form. Fortune mainland, suppress. Seeing that the blood fiend demonic ancestor had regained his human form, Mo Qingyun controlled the fortune mainland to attack him. Bang! Before the blood fiend half-step venerable could reform his body, he was smashed into pieces by the fortune mainland, turning into a cloud of blood mist. Brat, this old man will remember today's enmity. In the future, this old man will definitely pay you back tenfold. When the blood fiend demi-venerate's body was blasted into a bloody mist, a bewitching scarlet light let out a venomous voice. Then, the bewitching red light disappeared in a flash, instantly fleeing hundreds of meters away. You won't have the chance. Looking at the fleeing red light, Mo Qingyun's expression was incomparably calm as he uttered a cold sentence. Then, a dazzling purple light flashed in Mo Qingyun's left eye, exuding a soul-stirring aura. Spiritual eye light. A purple ray of light shot out from Mo Qingyun's left eye, instantly hitting the fleeing red light. Pucci. Under the bombardment of the spiritual eye light, the bewitching red light was instantly pierced through, slowly fading and dissipating. Brat, just wait for the heavenly soul devil clan's endless revenge. When the bewitching red light dissipated, another venomous voice entered Mo Qingyun's ears. However, Mo Qingyun did not pay any attention to his words. He turned around and walked towards Murong Qinyu. Half-exalted Xue Sha was dead. Under Mo Qingyun's attack, the blood fiend demi-venerate was completely annihilated. Even his divine soul did not have the chance to escape. Looking at the scene before her, Murong Qinyu was instantly shocked. She felt disbelief in her heart for a long time. She was truly unable to imagine that in a short few months, Mo Qingyun's strength had actually risen to such an extent. After a while, Mo Qingyun arrived in front of Murong Qinyu. He faintly smiled and said to her, "Miss Murong, the blood fiend demi-venerate is already dead. Right now, the two of us are safe. We can leave the life and death nirvana reincarnation array." The blood fiend demi-venerate is dead. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyo's expression was slightly stunned. Her gaze became somewhat perplexed as she muttered to herself, "That's right. The blood fiend demi-venerate is already dead. We're already safe. We're about to leave this place." At this moment, in Murong Qingyo's heart, she couldn't help but feel a wave of reluctance and heartache. She was very clear that once they left this place, it also meant that she would have to separate from Mo Qingyun. Subsequently, a feeling of bewilderment and not knowing what to do slowly rose in Murong Qingyo's heart. After leaving the life and death nirvana reincarnation array, would she continue to be with Mo Qingyun, or would she continue to fulfill her wish? For a moment, Murong Qingyo's heart became very complicated. She entered a state of hesitation. With regards to Murong Qingyo's thoughts, Mo Qingyun naturally didn't know. He said to Murong Qingyu with a faint smile, "Miss Murong, let's go." "Okay." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyu instinctively nodded. The corners of her eyes couldn't help but become moist. Just a moment ago, she made a decision in her heart. She decided to continue to fulfill her wish. Subsequently, Murong Qingyu silently followed Mo Qingyun out of the life and death nirvana reincarnation array. After a while, Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu exited the life and death nirvana reincarnation array and arrived in front of the entrance of the canyon. Arriving outside the life and death nirvana reincarnation array, Mo Qingyun revealed a brilliant smile and said to Murong Qingyu with a faint smile, "Miss Murong, since the blood fiend demi-venerate is already dead, I'll accompany you to the blood fiend phoenix trapping array and refine the blood in the blood pool." "Accompany me to the blood fiend phoenix trapping array?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyo's expression was slightly stunned. Subsequently, she revealed a brilliant smile and said, "Okay, let's go quickly." Chapter 950. After a short while, Mo Qingyun and Murong Qingyu arrived outside of the blood fiend phoenix trapping formation. "Miss Murong, please wait for a moment. I will break this blood fiend phoenix trapping formation." Standing outside of the blood fiend phoenix trapping formation, Mo Qingyun faintly smiled at Murong Qingyu and instructed her. "Okay." Murong Qingyu nodded her head and silently walked to the side, waiting for Mo Qingyun to break the formation. The blood fiend phoenix trapping formation was researched by the Blood Fiend Temple. It was a formation specifically used to deal with the Phoenix clan. It could be considered as an extreme formation. Therefore, it was different from ordinary formations. Although it was effective against the Phoenix clan, it was ineffective against other clans. It was almost negligible. Moreover, because it was an extreme formation, its stability wasn't very strong. It could be easily broken by a powerful formation master. After Mo Qingyun observed the Blood Fiend Phoenix trapping formation, he had a clear understanding of the Blood Fiend Phoenix trapping formation in front of him. The Blood Fiend Phoenix trapping formation in front of him wasn't a complete formation. It was only activated by a formation plate. As a result, its stability was even more unbearable. It was only slightly better than a formation drawn by raising one's hand. From this, it could be seen that the Blood Fiend demigod didn't understand formations. Otherwise, he wouldn't have used a formation plate to set up a formation. Under normal circumstances, formation plates were drawn by powerful formation masters and given to those who didn't understand formations to defend themselves. Of course, the formation plates of the 9 temples were not within the scope of these formation plates. Of course, although the Blood Fiend Phoenix trapping formation was weak, it was more than enough to deal with Murong Qingyu. After knowing the situation of the Blood Fiend Phoenix trapping formation, Mo Qingyun no longer hesitated and began to break the Blood Fiend Phoenix trapping formation. Following which, strange hand seals quickly condensed in Mo Qingyun's hands and flew to different corners of the Blood Fiend Phoenix trapping formation. As each strange hand seal flew to a different corner of the formation, the Blood Fiend Phoenix trapping formation's power weakened a little. About an hour later, when Mo Qingyun executed the last hand seal, the glow of the bloody evil phoenix trapping formation instantly disappeared and became dim. Rise! Seeing this, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and made a grabbing motion, blasting out several profound ice palms with astonishing momentum towards the formation's foundation. Then, several light pillars carved with strange runes were pulled out from the ground by Mo Qingyun. 500 pounds. As these light pillars carved with strange symbols were forcefully pulled out from the ground by Mo Qingyun, the blood evil phoenix trapping array instantly collapsed. The blood fiend phoenix imprisoning formation was broken. After breaking the blood evil phoenix imprisoning formation, Mo Qingyun didn't let Murong Qingyu refine the blood pool immediately. Instead, he took out various refining materials and arranged them. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Murong Qingyu's heart was suddenly moved. She knew what Mo Qingyun was planning to do. Mo Qingyun was planning to arrange a formation to help her refine the blood pool better. Several hours later, Mo Qingyun, with a somewhat tired expression, gently smiled at Murong Qingyu and said softly, "Miss Murong, I have arranged a 5 elements gathering formation and a time shifting formation around the blood pool. It should be of some help to you in refining the blood pool." "Thank you." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyu's face revealed an excited expression. Her voice was somewhat choked with emotions as she thanked him. Following this period of time with Mo Qingyun, she could feel that Mo Qingyun's concern for her was meticulous. The only time he didn't give in to her was when they were fighting over the Phoenix Blood Nirvana fruit. It seemed that the Phoenix Blood Nirvana fruit was really important to Mo Qingyun. In the following days, you can be at ease and refine the blood pool here. I will always be guarding outside. In response to Murong Qingyu's gratitude, Mo Qingyun faintly smiled at her and began to sit cross-legged at the side. Seeing Mo Qingyun's actions, Murong Qingyu didn't say anything else. She directly walked into the blood pool and began to refine the blood in the blood pool. In the following days, Mo Qingyun kept guarding outside the blood pool, protecting Murong Qingyu who was in the blood pool. During this period, although there were many demonic beasts that came to cause trouble, they were all killed by Mo Qingyun. There was no time in the mountains. Time always passed quickly during cultivation. In a blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Under Murong Qingyu's continuous refining, the energy contained in the blood pool was finally completely refined by her. After refining the blood, the benefits that Murong Qingyu obtained were undoubtedly very astonishing. At this moment, the aura that Murong Qingyu emitted had already reached the limit of the heavenly Dipper realm. She was only 1 step away from the divine realm. It seems that Miss Murong is preparing to attack the divine realm. Seeing that Murong Qingyu, who was in the blood pool, still didn't show any signs of stopping her cultivation, Mo Qingyun immediately guessed her plan. Sure enough, suddenly, an astonishing amount of energy frantically converged towards the blood pool. Under the convergence of these energy, the aura on Murong Qingyu's body couldn't help but rise again. A few hours later, the aura on Murong Qingyu's body finally reached a limit and couldn't continue to rise. Then, a picture scroll with a 10-winged black phoenix flew out from Murong Qingyu's body. This was Murong Qingyu's heavenly Dipper picture, the 10-winged dark phoenix picture. After the 10-winged dark phoenix picture flew out, it slowly grew bigger and solidified little by little. Murong Qingyu began to condense the divine treasure picture. Whoosh! A few days later, a phoenix cry came out from the blood pool. Murong Qingyu's divine treasure picture was successfully condensed. However, at this time, a strange mark flashed between Murong Qingyu's eyebrows, bursting with an aura that made people's heart tremble. This mark, looking at the mark between Murong Qingyu's eyebrows, Mo Qingyun frowned. There seemed to be a familiar feeling. After pondering for a while, Mo Qingyun's expression suddenly changed. He thought that he had seen it before. He secretly said, "There seems to be such a mark between Zishu's eyebrows. Could it be that Murong Qingyu and Zishu are both reincarnated people?" At this moment, a strong doubt arose in Mo Qingyun's heart. At this moment, when Mo Qingyun's heart was filled with doubt, Murong Qingyu's face in the blood pool showed confusion, pain, reluctance, and other complicated expressions. A few hours later, Murong Qingyu stopped cultivating, got up, and walked out of the blood pool. He looked at Mo Qingyun with a complicated gaze. After looking at Mo Qingyun for a moment, Murong Qingyu seemed to have made a decision in his heart. He looked at Mo Qingyun and said in a deep voice, "Qingyun, thank you. What do you plan to do next?" "I plan to make a trip to the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. There, I have some very important things to do." Mo Qingyun did not think much about Murong Qingyu's question and answered without hiding anything. "So it's like this." Hearing Mo Qingyun's answer, Murong Qingyu was somewhat disappointed and lost. He powerlessly nodded and said, "I plan to go to the wasteland continent. There is something very important to me there." Chapter 9:51. When do you plan to go to the wasteland continent? After a moment, Mo Qingyun took the lead to break the silence. He looked at Murong Qingyu and smiled faintly. "I'll leave immediately." Murong Qingyu's eyes flashed with a trace of struggle. In the end, she still made a decision and replied with a slightly reluctant tone, "I'll send you back to the Demon Road." Seeing Murong Qingyu's decision, Mo Qingyun's face also showed reluctance, and he said a heavy sentence. He couldn't deny that after getting along with Murong Qingyu for this period of time, he really did have feelings for her. "No need. Even if you send me off for 1,000 miles, in the end, we still have to part. I'll go back by myself." Murong Qingyu shook her head and refused Mo Qingyun's good intentions. She reluctantly looked at Mo Qingyun. Murong Qingyu turned around and left Mo Qingyun a beautiful back view. She said, "I'm leaving." "Wait a moment." Mo Qingyun quickly called out to Murong Qingyu. With a nervous expression, he quickly asked, "How can I find you in the future?" Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Murong Qingyu stopped. She took out a black feather from her bosom and handed it to Mo Qingyun. She said, "This is one of my life feather wings. Carry it on your body, and you'll be able to sense my existence." Looking at the feather wings that Murong Qingyu handed over, Mo Qingyun's expression became a bit more serious. He promised, "After I've dealt with the matters here, I'll definitely go to the Tianhun continent to find you." Murong Qingyu smiled sweetly. Suddenly, her face showed a trace of craftiness. She asked with a slightly red face, "Do you have wine on you?" "Yes." "Can you give me some?" "Yes." "Thank you." Murong Qingyu took the jug of wine and directly opened it. She lightly took a sip. When the wine entered her mouth, Murong Qingyu's beautiful eyebrows slightly wrinkled, as if she was enduring the spiciness of the wine. Seeing Murong Qingyu's expression, Mo Qingyun awkwardly smiled and responded, "I like spicy, strong wine." Murong Qingyu didn't answer Mo Qingyun's words. She only walked towards Mo Qingyun with a slightly red face. Arriving in front of Mo Qingyun, Murong Qingyu's eyes were somewhat hazy. There was a glimmer of light rotating in his eyes. Suddenly, Murong Qingyu gently raised her arm and wrapped it around Mo Qingyun's neck. She closed her eyes and slightly raised her toes. Her pink lips met Mo Qingyun's lips. Seeing Murong Qingyu's action, Mo Qingyun was startled, and his mind suddenly went blank. He really didn't expect that Murong Qingyu make such a bold move. Very quickly, a spicy feeling came from Murong Qingyu's mouth. Along with this spicy feeling, Murong Qingyu, who was in front of him, quickly loosened his arms. With a shy expression, he turned his head and stuffed the wine pot into Mo Qingyun's hand. He said, "In the future, when you drink, remember to think of me. My taste is the same as this wine." After Murong Qingyu finished speaking, her figure flashed and disappeared in front of Mo Qingyun's eyes. Looking at Murong Qingyu, who disappeared in an instant, Mo Qingyun's heart couldn't calm down for a long time. A very complicated feeling rose in his heart. That feeling was like excitement, like shock, like joy, like reluctance, but also a bit of heartache. Don't worry, after I've dealt with the matters of the heavenly spirit continent, I'll definitely go to the wasteland continent to find you. Mo Qing Yun clenched his fists. With a serious expression, he made a decision in his heart. Then, Mo Qing Yun no longer hesitated. He raised his hand and took out the sacred beast cauldron from his chinkoan pouch. Since I've already found the Phoenix Blood Nirvana fruit, it's time to refine the 9 transformation body sculpting pill. After Mo Qingyun thought about it, he no longer hesitated and immediately started refining the 9 transformation body sculpting pill. Then, one by one, the alchemy materials were thrown into the sacred beast cauldron by Mo Qingyun, and he started refining the pill. One day later, a rich pill fragrance spread out from the sacred beast cauldron. At the same time, a strange scene flew out from the sacred beast cauldron and slowly condensed in the air. Seeing that the pill fragrance had condensed, Mo Qingyun immediately formed hand seals with both of his hands and gathered the pill fragrance into the pill. After doing all this, Mo Qingyun let the 9 transformation body sculpting pill go through a few pill tribulations. Then, he carefully stored it in a jade bottle. Seeing that the 9 transformation body sculpting pill was successfully refined, Mo Qingyun pointed at his forehead and moved Qiu Yi, who was cultivating in the Soul Palace, out. After Qiu Yi came out of the Soul Palace, Missouri Qingyun realized that her body was much more solid than before. It seemed that during this period of time, she had been cultivating in the Soul Palace, and her soul had become much more stable. Disciple Qiu Yi greets Master. Qiu Yi had a respectful look on her face as she bowed to Mo Qingyun. No need for formalities. Mo Qingyun smiled faintly and waved his hand. He took out a jade bottle from his chinkoan bag and handed it to Qiu Yi. Little Yi, this contains the 9 transformation body sculpting pill. Refine it to refine your body. 9 transformation body sculpting pill. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Qiu Yi's body suddenly trembled. She revealed an emotional expression and knelt to Mo Qingyun again. Disciple Qiu Yi thanks Master for giving me a new lease of life. Get up quickly. There's no need for such polite words between you and me. Seeing Qiu Yi's actions, Mo Qingyun revealed a loving expression. He waved his hand at Qiu Yi and said, "Now, I'll send you to a place to cultivate. If you feel a tearing force, don't resist it." "Yes." Qiu Yi nodded. Then, Mo Qingyun controlled the 5-directional small pagoda and sent Qiu Yi into it. Then, Mo Qingyun gave Qiu Yi some instructions before leaving the 5-directional small pagoda. After leaving the 5-directional small pagoda, Mo Qingyun didn't stay any longer and began his journey to the Mist Pond sect. I wonder if sect leader Chun and the others have moved the Mist Pond sect out of Mingfeng mountain range. On the way to the Mist Pond sect, Mo Qingyun thought to himself. One day later, Mo Qingyun finally arrived at the Mist Pond sect's mountain gate under his full speed travel. At this moment, the Mist Pond sect's mountain gate was filled with people. All of them had excited expressions as they chatted with each other. Did something big happen in the Mist Pond sect? After seeing this scene, Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly. He quickly flew towards the Mist Pond sect. Mo Qingyun. Look, it's Mo Qingyun. Wow, it really is Pill Emperor Qingyun. He's still as handsome as ever. Wow, so he's Pill Emperor Qingyun. He really is handsome. Luckily, I joined the Mist Pond sect. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to see him. Seeing Mo Qingyun quickly fly towards them, the Mist Pond sect's disciples were all excited. They looked at Mo Qingyun with admiration. Mo Qingyun didn't pay too much attention to the actions of the Mist Pond sect's disciples. He directly walked towards the Mist Pond sect's mountain gate. Before long, Mo Qingyun found Song Luo and the others. He asked with a curious expression, "Song Luo, what's happened in the Mist Pond sect? Why are all the disciples outside the sect gate?" Disciple greets Master. Seeing Mo Qingyun appear, The expressions of Song Luo and the others all changed. They respectfully bowed towards Mo Qingyun and said, "Master, recently, Sovereign Su Chao announced to the world that the Heavenly Pool Mountain will reopen in 3 months. We're preparing to go and congratulate him." "I see." Chapter 952. From Mo Qingyun's point of view, Song Luo and the rest were probably trying to take advantage of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain's reconstruction to become a subordinate force of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. "Master, we will be heading to the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain next. What are your plans?" After Song Luo shared his thoughts, he revealed an expectant expression and asked Mo Qingyun about his plans. From his expression, one could tell that he hoped that Mo Qingyun would travel with them. From his point of view, if Mo Qingyun traveled with them, their chances of returning to the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain would increase by many folds. "Coincidentally, I'm also going to the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. I'll go with you." In response to Song Luo's question, Mo Qingyun pondered for a moment before agreeing to travel with Song Luo and the rest. Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, Song Luo and the rest were overjoyed and excited. After a while, Mo Qingyun and the rest chatted for a while before setting off for the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. On the way to the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, Song Luo arranged a demonic beast carriage for Mo Qingyun to rest in alone. Mo Qingyun was happy to see Song Luo and the rest's actions. This way, he could cultivate in peace. While no one was paying attention, Mo Qingyun replaced himself with his clone and sat in the demonic beast carriage to cultivate. The clone's cultivation was different from his. Once his cultivation was at the same level as his original body, he could no longer increase his cultivation. Not long after Mo Qingyun's cultivation broke through to the transcendent realm, his clone's cultivation also broke through to the transcendent realm. As such, it was meaningless for him to continue cultivating. Mo Qingyun entered the 5-directional small pagoda and checked on Xiaoye's condition. Then, he entered the second floor of the 5-directional small pagoda and began cultivating. To him, the most important thing now was to make the best use of his time to increase his cultivation. Otherwise, once the demon clan invaded, how could he protect his loved ones? Time passed by slowly. 2 months later, with the help of the 9 transformation body-shaping elixir, Xiaoye's body was finally reconstructed. After her body was reconstructed successfully, Xiaoye immediately sent a voice transmission to Mo Qingyun and shared this pleasant news with him. What surprised Mo Qingyun was that the body that Xiaoye had reconstructed was actually the Nirvana Phoenix body, one of the top 100 special constitutions among the 3,000. Although the Nirvana Phoenix physique was only ranked in the top 100 among the 3,000 unique physiques, its potential was indeed extremely great. If Xiaoye was able to cultivate the Nirvana Phoenix physique to the limit and successfully achieve Nirvana rebirth, then she would have the opportunity to awaken the Phoenix bloodline. Of course, the matter of rebirth was too far away. Presently, to Xiaoye, being able to reconstruct the Phoenix physique of rebirth was an extremely good thing. With the support of this powerful physique, Xiaoye's current strength was much stronger than before. With her current cultivation at level 5 of the Divine Power Realm, even if she encountered an expert at level 7 of the Divine Power Realm, she would still be able to fight. Seeing that Xiaoye's body had been successfully reconstructed, Mo Qingyun gave her some pointers before returning to his cultivation. In the blink of an eye, another month had passed. Original body, we have reached the sacred sky, Pool Mountain. At this moment, Mo Qingyun, who was in the midst of cultivation, suddenly opened his eyes after receiving the message from his incarnation. We have reached the sacred sky, Pool Mountain, so quickly. Mo Qingyun's expression changed slightly as a look of surprise flashed across his face. He sighed inwardly. Time really flies. After recovering from his surprise, Mo Qingyun sensed his own cultivation and revealed a look of regret. He said, "The peak of the late-stage 3rd level of the Divine Power Realm. It is a pity that I did not directly enter the fourth level of the divine power realm. At this moment, if other people heard Mo Qingyun's words, they would definitely be so shocked that they would want to commit suicide. In just 3 months, his cultivation had risen from the peak of the first level of the divine power realm to the peak of the third level of the divine power realm. It was hard to accept that Mo Qingyun was actually still dissatisfied with such an insane cultivation speed. Of course, from this, it could be seen that the cultivation speed of those who possess the 5-element spiritual body was shockingly fast. One must know that Mo Qingyun's current cultivation was in the divine power realm, not the body-tempering realm that had just entered the martial Tao. Many people in the divine power realm might not be able to break through to the next level even after cultivating for more than 10 years. In comparison, Mo Qingyun's terrifying cultivation speed immediately became obvious. During this period of time, apart from Mo Qingyun's shocking cultivation gains, Qiuye's cultivation gains were also impressive. After a month of cultivation and familiarizing herself with her new body, Qiuye's current cultivation had already reached the peak of the 5th level of the divine power realm. Although her cultivation speed could not be compared to Mo Qingyun's, it was still extremely shocking. After checking his cultivation progress, Mo Qingyun did not hesitate any longer and left the 5-directional small pagoda. After exiting the 5-directional small pagoda, Mo Qingyun put his clone into the 5-directional small pagoda and swapped identities with him. At this moment, when Mo Qingyun switched identities with his avatar, he also moved Qiuye out of the 5 Directions pagoda. Qiuye was wearing a green dress, and her hair was tied up with a blue hairpin. She had a pair of moon-shaped earrings on her ears that flickered with a faint silver light when she moved. This celestial attire, coupled with Qiuye's exquisite appearance, instantly revealed a celestial and quiet temperament. "Greetings, Master." Qiuye had a sweet smile on her face as she bowed to Mo Qingyun. She gave off a very gentle feeling. No need for formalities. Mo Qingyun waved his hand with a faint smile in response to Qiuye's actions. He said in a deep voice, "Now that Xu Chao's cultivation has broken through to the sovereign realm, the sacred sky pool mountain might be reopened in the next few days. Come with me for a walk." Eldest senior brother's cultivation has broken through to the sovereign realm? Qiuye was pleasantly surprised when she heard Mo Qingyun's words. She was extremely excited. In her opinion, as long as Mo Qingyun's cultivation recovered and with Supreme Xu Chao's help, the sacred sky pool mountain would be able to regain its former glory very quickly. Not only that, but when the sacred sky pool mountain had 2 sovereigns, it might not be impossible for them to seek revenge on Li He, Yi Fei Yang, and Yang Yanfan. Mo Qingyun nodded with a faint smile in response to Qiuye's surprised reaction. Suddenly, his expression turned serious as he instructed, "Little Yer, I can't let anyone know my identity for now. From now on, you can call me Mr. Mo. Yes, Mr. Mo. I'll do as you say." Qiuye smiled playfully when she heard Mo Qingyun's words and winked at Mo Qingyun. Perhaps it was because her body had been reconstructed and she was together with Mo Qingyun again, but Qiuye was in an extremely good mood right now. "All right, let's go out. Don't let the people outside wait too long." Chapter 953. Whoosh. The curtains of the beast carriage were pulled open, and Mo Qingyun and Qiuye walked out towards Song Luo and the others. "Greetings, Master. We have arrived at the heavenly pool, Sacred Mountain." Song Luo and the others bowed respectfully to Mo Qingyun when they saw Mo Qingyun approaching. "Master." Qiuye was surprised as she glanced at Song Luo and the others. She was surprised by how they addressed Mo Qingyun. Qiuye could tell that Song Luo and the others weren't very talented. Logically speaking, they shouldn't have reached Mo Qingyun's standards. Mo Qingyun saw the doubt in Qiuye's heart and smiled faintly. He explained to Qiuye, "Song Luo and the others are former disciples of the Misty Pool sect. I met them in the Mingfeng mountain range and taught them some alchemy skills. Out of respect for me, they call me Master. So that's how it is." After Mo Qingyun's explanation, Qiuyi nodded her head in understanding. She understood the relationship between Song Luo and the others and Mo Qingyun. At the same time, Qiuyi admired the luck of Song Luo and the others. Unknowingly, he had obtained Mo Qingyun's recognition and guidance. This was really a stroke of good luck. If they knew that Mo Qingyun was once the owner of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain and the youngest pill venerate in the Tianhan continent, they would be very excited. They would probably be extremely excited to receive personal guidance from venerated pill. However, since Mo Qingyun had told them beforehand, Qiuyi naturally wouldn't reveal Mo Qingyun's identity. Master, who is this lady? Seeing Qiuyi beside Mo Qingyun, Song Luo and the others were curious and asked about Qiuyi's identity. They clearly remembered that when Mo Qingyun entered the beast carriage, he didn't bring a lady with him. But now, a girl who was as beautiful as a fairy had come out of the demonic beast carriage with Mo Qingyun. This kind of thing was really too thought-provoking. Seeing the expressions of Song Luo and the others, Mo Qingyun knew that they had misunderstood. He explained, Miss Qiuyi is an old acquaintance of mine. We met coincidentally on the way here. She was also heading to the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, so I called her along. Once Mo Qingyun's words left his mouth, the expressions of Song Luo and the rest became even stranger. So it turned out to be an old flame. At this moment, in the hearts of Song Luo and the others, they immediately determined the relationship between Mo Qingyun and Mo Qingyun. Qiuyi couldn't help but reveal a helpless expression when he saw that. He sighed inside, Master, your talent in both cultivation and alchemy can be said to be unparalleled, but your EQ is just too low. I didn't expect you to still be like this after reincarnating. Looks like the heavens are very fair. Qiuyi revealed a sly smile and deliberately looked at Mo Qingyun with a flirtatious gaze. Seeing Qiuyi's expression, Song Luo and the rest instantly understood. The way they looked at Mo Qingyun changed. However, due to Mo Qingyun's identity, they didn't dare to say it out loud. After all, their master was still young. Who wouldn't be full of energy when they were young? At that moment, such a thought emerged in the hearts of Song Luo and the others. Mo Qingyun naturally didn't know what Song Luo and the rest were thinking. Otherwise, he would be crying without tears. After that, Mo Qingyun chatted with Song Luo and the rest for a while before entering the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. The Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain was extremely large. It was millions of square kilometers and was divided into two regions, the inner region and the outer region. Some of the factions that relied on the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain would take root in the outer region. According to the strength of the faction, they would establish their factions in different regions. The stronger the faction, the closer the location of the faction would be to the inner region of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. Hence, the cultivation environment of the faction would be better. On the other hand, it was the same. As for the inner region, it was naturally where the faction of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain was located. It was where the Heavenly Pool Palace used to be. On the path to the inner region of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, Mo Qingyun and the rest saw many people from other factions. Among these factions, most of them were factions that relied on the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain in the past. Now they were here to submit to the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain again. As for the other factions, although they were here to congratulate, their motives were unknown. As the Fog Pool sect was here with their entire faction, their scale was extremely large. They attracted the attention of many factions along the way. Look at that faction. They brought so many disciples to congratulate us. Are they here to take advantage of the rich? Yes, it's just like a banquet held by an ordinary family. Some poor families like to bring their sons and daughters to have a good meal. In my opinion, these people probably haven't eaten for half a year. Now that the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain has reopened, they want to have a good meal at the banquet. Hey, those people seem to be from the Fog Pool sect, one of the 10 great spirit pool sects of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. That seems to be the case. I didn't expect the Fog Pool sect to be so shabby. I think they should change their name to the Shabby Sect. In an instant, all kinds of mocking words came from the surrounding factions. The Fogpool sect disciples were immediately displeased by these people's mocking words. They wanted to argue with them. After all, they were all young people. It was hard for them to not be impatient. Naturally, they couldn't allow others to humiliate their sect. Everyone, don't be angry. Let's enter the inner region of the heavenly pool, Sacred Mountain, first. Seeing the actions of Wang Quan and the other disciples, Song Luo showed a serious expression and stopped them. Song Luo knew very well that although these people's words were unpleasant, they were undoubtedly the truth. Moreover, with the Fogpool sect's current strength, they didn't know if they would become enemies with other factions. Hearing Song Luo's words, the Fogpool sect's disciples were all indignant. Their faces were filled with unwillingness. Roar! As Mo, Qingyun, and the rest advanced, deafening beast roars suddenly entered their ears. Thump, thump, thump. Following this, the ground started to shake. Huge stomping sounds came from the ground. At the source of the stomping sounds, a gray, foggy sandstorm was set off. It was approaching at a shocking speed. A monster rampage. Seeing this scene, the expressions of Song Luo and the rest immediately became serious. A strong sense of worry rose in their hearts. Judging from the momentum of this monster wave, there were many monster beasts with high cultivation. This was definitely not something the Fogpool sect's disciples could resist. While Song Luo and the rest were filled with fear, the expressions of the people from the other factions also became serious. Of course, there were also some powerful factions. They all stood in the air and revealed arrogant expressions. Subdued beasts. Looking at the restless monster wave in front of them, Mo Qingyun immediately understood the reason. Someone was secretly controlling these monster beasts. Chapter 954. It seems like Su Chao will encounter a lot of obstacles if he wants to rebuild the heavenly pool, Sacred Mountain. Looking at the scene before him, Mo Qingyun could guess that Li He and the other two would not allow the heavenly pool, Sacred Mountain, to be rebuilt. However, Mo Qingyun was not worried about this. Although Li He and the other two would make things difficult for the heavenly pool, Sacred Mountain's reconstruction, it would only be a little more troublesome. Now that the heavenly pool, Sacred Mountain, had a venerable realm expert overseeing it, even if Li He and the other two wanted to cause trouble, they would have some scruples. After all, the anger of a venerable realm expert was extremely terrifying. If they angered Supreme Su Chao, he would pay a visit to their 3 sacred mountains, and their 3 sacred mountains would suffer heavy losses. This was not something Li He and the other two wanted to see. Thus, they did not dare to go overboard. Song Luo, you guys escort the Mist Pool sect's disciples and hide in the surrounding forest. Qiu Yi and I will cover your retreat. Looking at the rapidly approaching demonic beast tide, Mo Qingyun's expression turned solemn. He instructed Song Luo, then turned to Qiu Yi. Qiu Yi, you and I will cover their retreat and kill the demonic beasts that are approaching. All right. Qiu Yi nodded and took out the fallen leaf sword. Subsequently, Song Luo escorted the Mist Pool sect's disciples and retreated into the surrounding forest, using the dense forest as cover to escape. While Song Luo and the others were retreating, Mo Qingyun took out the colorless sword from his Cosmo sack and killed the demonic beasts that were attacking the Mist Pool sect's disciples. The strongest among these demonic beasts were merely 7th, 8th, and 9th stage divine ability realm. Among them, there were less than 10 9th stage divine ability realm demonic beasts. With Mo Qingyun's current strength, killing these demonic beasts was a piece of cake. If it wasn't for the fact that he did not want to expose the Fortune mainland, Mo Qingyun would have controlled the Fortune mainland to smash down and kill more than half of these demonic beasts. Poochie Poochie. In the face of Mo Qingyun's powerful massacre, the demonic beasts that were closing in on the Fogpool sect did not have the slightest ability to resist. They were all killed by Mo Qingyun's sword. Under the escort of Mo Qingyun and Qiu Yi, Song Luo and the others quickly broke away from the beast tide and escaped from danger. Are any of the disciples injured? After killing the pursuing demonic beasts, Mo Qingyun walked up to Song Luo and asked about the situation of the Mist Pool sect disciples. Replying to Master, except for a few disciples who suffered some minor injuries, the rest of the disciples are fine. Song Luo had a respectful expression as he answered Mo Qingyun's question. With a serious expression, he asked, "Master, what should we do next?" Hearing Song Luo's question, Mo Qingyun's gaze swept over the group of Mist Pool sect disciples and said solemnly, "Demonic beasts are running rampant in the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain now. Bringing so many disciples to participate in the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain's reconstruction ceremony will indeed bring a lot of trouble. It seems like we need to find a place to settle them down." Song Luo and the others nodded in agreement with Mo Qingyun's words. However, they soon revealed a troubled expression as they said, "Master, our Mist Pool sect has left the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain for several decades. I'm afraid it will be difficult to find a place to settle them down in a short period of time. You don't need to worry about this. I have already thought of a place to settle them down. You just need to follow me." After comforting Song Luo and the others, Mo Qingyun did not say anything else and led the way. The place that Mo Qingyun was referring to was naturally the current Qingyun Palace's mountain entrance. After arriving at the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain, he had secretly communicated with Qi Lian and the others. Due to Mo Qingyun's instructions, the Qingyun Palace's mountain entrance was built in a more secluded location. As a result, the location where the Iron Wing and the others built the Qingyun Palace's mountain entrance was rather far from the inner area of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. It just happened to be close to where Mo Qingyun was currently. Song Luo and the others were curious as they looked at Mo Qingyun leading the way. They had no idea where Mo Qingyun was taking them. Several hours later, majestic mansions and palaces appeared before Song Luo and the others, immediately making them feel like they were looking up at them. Compared to the sect before them, their Mist Pool sect's mountain entrance was just too small. I never thought that Qi Lian and the others would build the Qingyun Palace so majestic. Looking at the Qingyun Palace in front of him, Mo Qingyun revealed a satisfied smile. He said to Song Luo and the others behind him, "Let's go in." With that, Mo Qingyun walked forward and led Song Luo and the others into the Qingyun Palace. A moment later, when Mo Qingyun arrived at the entrance of the Qingyun Palace, Qi Lian and the others were already waiting there. "Greetings, young lord." Seeing Mo Qingyun approaching, Qi Lian and the others revealed respectful expressions as they bowed to Mo Qingyun. "Young lord?" Hearing how Qi Lian and the others addressed Mo Qingyun, Song Luo and the others revealed shocked expressions. They were even more curious about Mo Qingyun's identity. Right now, they could clearly sense that Qi Lian and the others' cultivations were all above the advanced god power level. In particular, Qi Lian and the Iron Wing's auras were even more terrifying. When they stood before Qi Lian and the others, it was like they were standing before a tall mountain. This feeling was only slightly better than when they faced a sovereign. Didn't this mean that Qi Lian and the others' cultivations had reached the quasi-exalt level? 2 quasi-exalts. When they guessed Qi Lian and the Iron Wing's cultivations, Song Luo and the others' hearts trembled. They felt even more reverence for Mo Qingyun in their hearts. One could imagine how powerful a person who possessed the strength of 2 quasi-exalts was. This was an existence that was second only to the 9 divine mountains. Mo Qingyun didn't care about what Song Luo and the others thought. He directly instructed Qi Lian. "Qi Lian, go find some residences and let Song Luo and the others settle their disciples here." "Yes, young lord." Qi Lian nodded and made an inviting gesture to Song Luo and the others. He said, "Everyone, please follow me." Song Luo and the others hesitated when they saw Qi Lian's actions. They looked at Mo Qingyun, not knowing what to do. There was nothing they could do. Qi Lian and the others' formation was just too great. They were immediately frightened. Mo Qingyun faintly smiled at Song Luo and the others when he saw their reactions. He said, "Song Luo, just follow Qilian. He'll arrange residences for you later. As for the disciples, you can make the arrangements yourselves." "Yes, master." Song Luo and the others didn't think too much when they heard Mo Qingyun's words. They nodded at Mo Qingyun. "Master?" Qilian and the others were stunned when they heard how Song Luo addressed Mo Qingyun. They were surprised by the relationship between Mo Qingyun and Song Luo. However, since Mo Qingyun didn't say anything, they didn't ask. Afterwards, Qilian led Song Luo and the others away and arranged residences for the disciples of the Mistpool sect. Iron Wing. How has Qingyun Palace been recently? Mo Qingyun turned to the Iron Wing when he saw Song Luo and the others leave. He asked about Qingyun Palace. Previously, when we were building the Azure Cloud Palace, some of the surrounding sects wanted to take over the Azure Cloud Palace by force. However, with the help of Steward Qi and I, we've completely flattened them. Now, within a radius of 10,000 miles, only our Azure Cloud Palace reigns supreme. Chapter 955. A moment later, after the Iron Wing's explanation, Mo Qingyun had a general understanding of the situation in the Qingyun Palace. Now, the Iron Wing, Qilian, and He Xian's cultivation had all reached the level of half-venerable and were steadily advancing towards the supreme venerable realm. Senior He Xian's cultivation has already reached the level of half-venerable. Hearing Tai Yi's words, Mo Qingyun couldn't help but be startled. A strong sense of surprise rose in his heart. He clearly remembered that when he left Jinzhou, He Xian's cultivation was only at divine power level 6. Now, only half a year had passed, and He Xian's cultivation had leaped from divine power level 6 to the level of half-venerable. This cultivation speed was truly frightening. However, after thinking about He Xian's background, Mo Qingyun's heart was at ease. He Xian, Savage Beast, Iron Wing, and the 9 temples were able to become the star generals of his heavenly soul demon clan's chief master. This was enough to prove that they were not ordinary. In this way, it was understandable that He Xian's cultivation speed could be so fast. In addition to He Xian and the others' shocking cultivation speed, Sha Yunjin and the others' cultivation speed was also very shocking. Now that Sha Yunjin and Rongho's cultivation had reached the late stage of divine power level 9, it was only a matter of time before they broke through to the peak of divine power level 9. As for Savage Beast, Feng Mayun, Ling Bo, and Ling Rao, with the help of sufficient pills and the time shift formation, their cultivation had all reached the high level of divine power level. As for Ling Kai and the others, their cultivation had also increased to varying degrees and were many times stronger than before. Of course, what surprised Mo Qingyun the most was the speed of the Eye Demon's cultivation. Now, the number of divine power level Eye Demons had reached the level of more than 100,000. Among them, there were tens of thousands of Eye Demons who had reached the mid-level of divine power level, and hundreds of them had reached the high level of divine power level. In this way, the number of divine power level experts that a supreme sect had couldn't compare to the Qingyun Palace. If the Qingyun Palace could produce a supreme venerable, then the Qingyun Palace would immediately become the strongest faction in the continent. After learning about the situation of the Azure Cloud Palace, a bright smile appeared on Mo Qingyun's face. He could not help but feel a little excited. From the looks of it, he was one big step closer to his path of revenge. Once he possessed the strength to kill a supreme being, he would be able to take revenge on Li He and the other two. At the Heavens, Song Luo's group, and the others. Of the Heavenly Soul sect. From the looks of it, under Qi Lian's arrangements, the Fog Pool sect's disciples had already been properly arranged. Apart from Chun Bin and a few elders, there were only Wang Quan and a few others who came with Song Luo. Master, the sect's disciples have been arranged. When will we head to the inner regions of the Heavenly Pool Mountain? Song Luo reported to Mo Qingyun respectfully and asked about Mo Qingyun's plans. Good. Since that's the case, let's go now. After hearing Song Luo's words, Mo Qingyun slowly stood up and said to Qi Lian, Qi Lian, since there's nothing to do in the Qingyun Palace, you can come with us. Yes, young lord. Qi Lian nodded when he heard Mo Qingyun's words. After instructing Qi Lian to come with him, Mo Qingyun gave some instructions to the Iron Wing. Then, he led everyone out of the Qingyun Palace. After Mo Qingyun and the others left the Qingyun Palace, they went straight to the inner regions of the Heavenly Pool Mountain. Now that they had Qi Lian, a pseudo-venerable, to escort them, Mo Qingyun and the others had a smooth journey. A few days later, Mo Qingyun and the others entered the inner regions of the Heavenly Pool Mountain and arrived at the newly built Heavenly Pool Palace. Currently, the Heavenly Pool Palace was packed with people. There were guests everywhere who had come to congratulate them. Master, I'm going to look for senior brother Su Chao. After entering the Heavenly Pool Palace, Qiu Yi transmitted her voice to Mo Qingyun and told him of her plans. Mo Qingyun didn't say much about Qiu Yi's actions. He only told her, after you see Su Chao, don't tell him my identity for now. When the time is right, I'll tell him. Okay. After hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Qiu Yi nodded and left. After a short while, a disciple of the Heavenly Pool Mountain brought Mo Qingyun and the others to an extremely elegant courtyard. A small wooden plaque was hung at the entrance of the courtyard. On it was written, 10 Great Spiritual Pools, Mist Pool Sect. When Song Luo and the others saw the words on the plaque, they couldn't help but tear up. From this, it could be seen that the Mist Pool Sect still held an important position in the hearts of Su Chao and the others. We didn't suffer in vain all these years. Song Luo and the others sighed in their hearts. They became emotional as if the grievances in their hearts had been vented. Let's go in. After glancing at the courtyard in front of him, Mo Qingyun gestured to Song Luo and the others and walked into the courtyard. However, at this moment, another group of people walked towards the Mist Pool Sect's courtyard under the guidance of a disciple. These people were all high and mighty. They held their heads high as if nothing could enter their eyes. Sect Leader Song, your Mist Pool Sect's courtyard is here. Another disciple of the Heavenly Pool Palace led the group of people to the courtyard and pointed at it with a respectful tone. Another group of people from the Mist Pool Sect? Hearing this disciple's words, Mo Qingyun and Qi Lian were both shocked. They were very surprised by the identities of these people. However, when Mo Qingyun thought of Chunbin's words, he felt relieved. According to Chunbin, they were only a branch of the Mist Pool Sect. Moreover, they weren't the main branch of the Mist Pool Sect's sect leader. From the looks of it, these people should be from other branches of the Mist Pool Sect. They might even be from the Mist Pool Sect's sect leader's branch. Judging from their behavior, they should be doing well. At the very least, they were doing much better than Song Luo and the others. Junior brother Song Wei. While Mo Qingyun was shocked by the other party's identity, Song Luo revealed an excited expression and looked at the leader of the group. From the looks of it, these people were indeed from other branches of the Mist Pool Sect. However, the behavior of these people made Mo Qingyun feel displeased. Song Luo's words quickly attracted their attention. A few young people walked out. Old man, don't think that just because you're a bit older, you can use your seniority to maintain your status. Our sect leader's name is not something you can call out. Also, you're wearing our Mist Pool Sect's old uniform. Are you trying to pretend to be from the Mist Pool Sect? Today is the day that the Heavenly Pool Mountain reopens. We don't want to ruin the festivities. You should all get lost. When those young men came closer, their faces revealed arrogant expressions as they mocked and berated Song Luo. Song Luo. Chapter 956. After Song Wei exclaimed in surprise, he turned his head away and ignored Song Luo and the others. From the looks of it, he must have recognized Song Luo, but he didn't want to acknowledge him. Seeing Song Wei's reaction, the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain disciple beside Song Wei asked curiously, Sect Leader Song, are they also from the Fog Pool Sect? From a disciple's point of view, Both sides were wearing the same clothes, so they should be from the Fogpool sect. However, Song Wei's reply was beyond his expectations. "Little brother, you must be joking. I don't know them." Song Wei shook his head with a faint smile, drawing a clear line between himself and Song Luo and the others. At the same time, he denied their identities. Junior Song Wei. Hearing Song Wei's words, Song Luo revealed a nervous expression and wanted to explain. He couldn't accept that Song Wei had clearly recognized him, but pretended not to know him. However, before Song Luo could speak, Mo Qingyun raised his hand and interrupted him. "Let's go in." Then, Mo Qingyun looked at Song Wei and the others with disgust and walked into the small courtyard. From Mo Qingyun's point of view, these people didn't even acknowledge the people from the sect, so they probably weren't loyal to the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain. "Yes, Master." Hearing Mo Qingyun's instructions, Song Luo and the others didn't say anything else and followed Mo Qingyun into the small courtyard. "Master?" Song Wei's expression was slightly stunned, revealing a trace of surprise. He couldn't help but look at Mo Qingyun a few more times. He was very clear about Song Luo's background. Song Luo was a disciple of the Fogpool sect Grand Elder. However, that Grand Elder had died 80 years ago. Therefore, Mo Qingyun obviously couldn't be that Grand Elder. As such, it was somewhat unusual for Song Luo to address Mo Qingyun as master. Then, Song Wei turned his head to look at the few youths beside him and nodded at them. Seeing Song Wei's actions, the young men immediately understood what he was hinting at. Then, one of the young men with a pockmarked face took a step forward and shouted at Mo Qingyun and the others, "Stop right there." Hearing this, Mo Qingyun stopped and looked coldly at Song Wei and the others. Seeing Mo Qingyun and the others stop, the pockmarked youth revealed a sinister smile. He said, "This courtyard was arranged by the Heavenly Pool Divine Mountain for our Mist Pool sect. Scram immediately. There doesn't seem to be disciples like you in our Fogpool sect, right?" In response to the pockmarked youth's arrogant words, Mo Qingyun looked at them disdainfully and asked in a mocking tone, "Kid, I don't think your joke is funny at all." Hearing Mo Qingyun's words, the pockmarked youth couldn't help but smile as if he had heard the funniest joke. After seeing this, the two disciples of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain were dumbfounded. What was going on? Why were there two groups of people from the Fogpool sect? After a brief moment of astonishment, one of the disciples of the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain said to the other disciple, "Senior Brother Zhangji, quickly report the situation here to the elders." Hearing this, the Heavenly Pool Sacred Mountain disciple called Zhangji didn't hesitate and immediately left. Seeing Zhangji's disciple leave, Mo Qingyun didn't waste time talking nonsense with Song Wei and the others. He directly said to Qi Lian, if they dare to take half a step into the courtyard, directly throw them out. "Yes, young lord." Qi Lian nodded in response. His expression immediately darkened as he swept his gaze over Song Wei and the others. After saying this to Qi Lian, Mo Qingyun didn't stay any longer and once again walked into the courtyard. "Kid, stop right there." Seeing the actions of Mo Qingyun and the others, the pockmarked youth immediately became angry and wanted to stop Mo Qingyun from entering the courtyard. After that, the pockmarked young man's figure flashed, and he raised his hand to grab Mo Qingyun. The pockmarked youth's strength was not weak. He had already reached the 4th level of the Divine Power Realm. His cultivation was slightly higher than Mo Qingyun's. In addition, the difference between the 4th and 3rd level of the Divine Power Realm was a small divide in the Divine Power Realm. Therefore, from the pockmarked youth's point of view, it wouldn't be difficult for him to take down Mo Qingyun with his full strength. Presumptuous. Seeing the pockmarked youth's actions, Qi Lian's face instantly darkened as he shouted angrily at the pockmarked youth. Then, a blood-colored origin energy turned into a blood-colored sound wave and blasted toward the pockmarked youth. Bang! Facing the attack of the blood-colored sound wave, the pockmarked youth didn't even have time to react before he was sent flying by the sound wave. Puff! After the pockmarked youth fell to the ground, his face turned pale, and he spat out blood. He looked at Qi Lian in horror. Seeing this scene, Song Luo and the others were shocked. Their eyes were filled with respect. With just a cold shout, Qi Lian was able to injure the pockmarked youth, who was at the 4th level of the divine power realm. This wasn't something an ordinary person could possess. This red-haired elder's cultivation is at least at the 8th level of the divine power realm. Looks like he has some background. Seeing Qi Lian's powerful attack, Song Luo and the others immediately evaluated Qi Lian's strength. Following which, Song Wei and the others revealed a strong sense of reverence when they looked at Qi Lian. With the strength that Qi Lian displayed, although he couldn't take them all down, he was still able to pose a significant threat to them. Chapter 9:57. The one walking at the front was Zhang Ji, who had just left. It seemed that the people who had come with him were the ones he had found to mediate the conflict between Imo, Qingyun, and Wei Wei. Seeing the arrival of Zhang Ji and the others, Song Wei and the others were pleasantly surprised and walked towards them with flattering expressions. Greetings to the elders of the Divine Mountain. Walking in front of Zhang Ji and the others, Song Wei and the others showed a fawning expression and bowed to them. Yes. In response to Song Wei and the others' greetings, the few old men beside Zhang Ji nodded indifferently. However, the young woman in front of the elders looked at Song Wei and the others with disgust. This woman was none other than Xiao Yi, who had just left. At this moment, she was wearing the elder robes of the heavenly pool, Sacred Mountain. Sect Leader Song, what's the situation? An elder in linen robes beside Xiao Yi asked Song Wei about the situation with a kind expression. Xiao Yi didn't say much about the actions of the elder in linen robes. She only stood to the side with a cold expression. Elder Sun, it's like this. Not only did these people pretend to be disciples of my Fogpool sect, they even occupied the Fogpool sect's pavilion that the Divine Mountain had arranged for me. Just now, when we were arguing with them, they directly attacked and injured us. In a single breath, Song Wei criticized Mo Qingyun and the others many times. Oh, Elder Sun and the others' expressions changed slightly when they heard this. A trace of dissatisfaction appeared on their faces. From their point of view, if the situation was as Song Wei said, then Mo Qingyun and the others' actions weren't as simple as bullying the Fogpool sect. They were indirectly challenging the authority of the heavenly pool, Sacred Mountain. However, Elder Sun and the others didn't immediately express their displeasure. Instead, they looked at Xiao Yi with respectful gazes and asked, Grand Elder Xiao Yi, what do you think about this matter? Grand Elder? Hearing Elder Sun's address of Xiao Yi, Song Wei and the others' expressions immediately trembled. They looked at Xiao Yi with even more respect. Although Xiao Ye's cultivation wasn't high and was only at the peak of the 5th level of the Divine Power Realm, the fact that she could become the Grand Elder of the Heavenly Pool, Sacred Mountain meant that her identity wasn't simple. Elder Sun, there are some things that you can't just listen to one side of the story. Xiao Yi coldly glanced at Song Wei and the others. There was no joy or anger on his face as he said coldly, I happen to be acquainted with young Master Mo and the others. As for the specifics of this matter, I still have to ask young Master Mo and the others before coming to a conclusion. 1. When Xiao Ye's words fell into Song Wei's ears, it was as if he had been struck by lightning from the 9 heavens, causing his head to ring. He did not expect the great elder of the heavenly pool, Sacred Mountain, to know Mo Qingyun and the others. This was not good news for them. It was even possible that their status in the heavenly pool, Sacred Mountain, would plummet because of this matter. Thinking of this, Song Wei's body trembled, and he unconsciously took a few steps back, feeling his legs go soft. At this moment, not only were Song Wei and the others shocked, but Elder Sun and the others were also shocked after hearing this. They were very clear about Xiao Ye's identity. She was Supreme Martial Artist Su Chao's junior sister. When they thought of this, Elder Sun and the others looked at Song Wei with a trace of sympathy. This time, Song Wei and the others were in for a bad time. While everyone had their own thoughts, Chiu Yi walked into the courtyard with a faint smile on her face. She bowed slightly to Qi Lian, who was standing in front of the courtyard, and said, "Mr. Qi, is Mr. Mo in?" "Young lord, he just entered the courtyard." In response to Chiu Yi's question, Qi Lian nodded indifferently. He gestured to Chiu Yi and said, "Miss Chiu Yi, please come in." Seeing this, Chiu Yi no longer hesitated and walked into the courtyard. Seeing Chiu Yi walk into the courtyard, Song Wei, Elder Sun, and the others' expressions changed. They followed behind Chiu Yi and wanted to enter the courtyard. "Stop right there. Without young lord's permission, none of you are allowed to enter the courtyard." Qi Lian's expression turned solemn when he saw Song Wei and Elder Sun's actions. He moved to block Song Wei and Elder Sun's path. "How dare you? Do you know where this is? Do you know who Elder Sun and the others are? How dare you speak to them like this?" Seeing Qi Lian's actions, Song Wei's expression immediately turned cold. He scolded Qi Lian and instigated conflict between Qi Lian and Elder Sun and the others. In his opinion, once Qi Lian offended Elder Sun and the others, his fate would definitely be miserable. Even Chiu Yi might not be able to protect him. "Scram! This is no place for you to speak." Seeing Song Wei's actions, Qi Lian's expression darkened. He directly shouted at him. "Uft!" With Qi Lian's shout, Song Wei spat out a mouthful of blood. His face paled, and he was forced to retreat. Song Wei retreated over 100 steps. Only then did he manage to stabilize himself with the support of the Fog Pool sect members. His face was as pale as paper. With a shout, Song Wei, who was at the 9th level of the god tier, was heavily injured. When they saw this scene, the expressions of Elder Sun and the others trembled, and a feeling of reverence arose in their hearts for Qi Lian. Half venerable, the red-haired elder in front of them was actually a half venerable. Only a half venerable could injure Song Wei, who was at the 9th level of the god tier, with a casual shout. A half venerable was already the pinnacle of existence in the Tianhan continent.